To be sure you're covered, call 277-2125 or go to clarkcomfort.com. Better call Clark. Alabama certification number 09098.
Well, hi, everybody. As monster, potentially catastrophic Milton heads for Florida, our weather is unbelievably nice and progressively cooler. I mean, the days are still warm, with sunshine today, high around 85, but clear, cooler, upper 50s will feel great tonight. Then look, we're low 80s Thursday, Friday, Saturday, abundant sunshine, very low humidity. The nights cooler again, mid-50s Thursday night, and low 50s Friday and Saturday night. And another great day Sunday, perfect for the Alabama National Fair. More sun, high 86. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Thank you for voting ASC Credit Union, the best credit union in the River Region 6 years in a row. As we celebrate our 70th anniversary, we are proud to be at the top of the list for the best credit union in the hearts of the communities we serve.
1819 News.
Alabama is preparing to accommodate tens of thousands of evacuees as Hurricane Milton, a Category 5 storm, heads toward Florida. Gulf Shores Mayor Robert Kraft expressed relief that Alabama is outside the storm's path, but noted concerns for those fleeing the hurricane. Although Gulf Shores lacks official shelters, its hotels and condominiums are available for evacuees. Alabama state parks have opened their facilities, offering camping, cabins, and lodges to evacuees. Mobile Fire Rescue is also deploying a team to assist in recovery efforts, setting up in Tallahassee until further instructions. Drivers are urged to exercise caution on the roads. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
I'm Amy Beth Schaefer with Alabama Unfiltered Radio, and when I need the news and I need it fast, I turn to Andrea Tice and the Daily Detail. On my way in, it is the most convenient, best way for me to digest what's going on so that I can use it for our show. She tells you what's going on in Alabama that day first and fast. So listen to the Daily Detail with Andrea Tice. Don't miss out.
The Daily Detail is available wherever podcasts are found.
The Alabama Supreme Court has scheduled the execution of Derek Dearman, convicted of the 2016 murders of 5 people and an unborn child in Citronelle. Dearman, who used an axe and guns to kill the victims while they slept, will be executed between midnight on October 17th and 6 a.m. on October 18th at William C. Holman Correctional Facility in Atmore. After the killings, Dearman surrendered to police in Mississippi and later pleaded guilty to the charges. I'm Katie Hyde in for Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
Make 2024 the year you break away from the chain stores and join us here at Adams Drugs. We value your business and want to provide you the best customer service at the lowest possible price. We've been serving up excellent customer service here in the River Region for over 62 years.
I made the swap to Adams Drugs and I couldn't be happier. Having a job and then getting 3 kids to all of their activities keeps me busy. I don't have an hour to waste waiting on a prescription. At Adams, they know me and my family. I get in and out in minutes, and when I can't get by Adams, they'll bring the prescription right to my door.
What are you waiting for? Come in to Adams Drugs and let us earn your business. Our friendly and personal staff will talk with you and answer any questions you may have about your prescriptions. Your satisfaction is our #1 goal. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net for the location nearest to you. Adams Drugs is your local independent Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-488-2594. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-488-2594. That's 800-488-2594. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the program. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Eddie Bader in the house. How you doing, Eddie?
Pretty good. How you doing, bro?
Doing all right. Lot to get to today, as we're, of course, seeing these images of Hurricane Milton bearing down on Florida.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be hitting a little south of Tampa, which is a good sign, given less population. But still, if you've got family down there, you can't help but pray.
Right.
Because if it's not the water, then it's the wind. We'll see what happens. But and then, of course, there's the politics around all of this, too, also going on.
Shows where we're at.
Yep.
As a society, that shows exactly where we're at.
Now, as we usually do on Wednesdays, we have the one, the only Jeff Poor. He is, of course, host of the Jeff Poor Show there at 106.5 FM in the Mobile Fairhope area. Give it a listen if you're in the area. And then, of course, he's also editor-in-chief at 1819news.com. Jeff, how you doing this afternoon?
Doing well, Joey. Thanks for having me on.
Now, living on the coast, I don't know how long you've been living on the coast, but what's the worst storm that you've lived through that comes to memory?
Katrina was pretty bad, even though we were a long, long way from the actual where the storm made landfall. I was here in 2005 for that. I was editor of a college newspaper, University of South Alabama at the time, and I remember spending the night there. But we had a lot of students at the time, I assume they still do at South, that were, from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. You could live in a handful of those counties in South Mississippi and get in-state tuition at South. So we had a bunch of Mississippi kids that were hit pretty hard. So I've lived down here on and off throughout my life. I've lived I lived on the East Coast. I lived in Myrtle Beach for a little while. And I just remember as a kid evacuating for these storms when I was young. And when I was old, it was just kind of like, hey, hurricane party, yeah, I'm going to get drunk and ride it out. But some of those are they got to be pretty scary there. I remember one in particular sitting out in the lawn chair in my driveway under the carport in Mobile, and then like, hey, yeah, it's just a bunch of rain and wind. But then a couple of those like really strong gusts of wind, you're like, got time to go hide inside. But yeah, I mean, there's probably 20 of them throughout my life.
Yeah, and it is unnerving. Like, we didn't even have that terrible weather last year in Montgomery, but it was enough wind to where I heard it and then saw it. About an 80-foot oak tree fall right on my next door neighbor's house, and then another one fell right across the road, pulling down all the power lines. And when you hear something like that happen, and that's minimal compared to what is about to happen in Florida, what others have just gone through in the Southeast, it I don't know. It takes you out of this nice little bubble I think all enjoy in modern living when the crap really hits the fan.
Well, one thing I'd say, though, now, the thing about Florida is they're a little bit better at this than probably even on the Alabama Gulf Coast. They're a little bit better at handling these. They build for it a lot of places. Now, the problem was, and we have friends. My wife works for a Florida law firm, and she has a bunch of colleagues in Tampa and all over that state, and lived in Tallahassee for a while. The problem was that when Helene came through, it knocked out a bunch of the infrastructure, like the dunes and these natural barriers. It removed them, and it kind of cleared a path for this storm, which makes it that much more dangerous. The barrier islands were really hit hard by Helene, and then this is not going to have anything like typically when these storms hit landfall, it's like a speed bump, right? And they start to weaken a little bit. But with this, like if you're on the immediate coastline, there's nothing there to slow this down to kind of take a little bit of energy out of it, and that's the concern.
Do you think, moving to putting our political caps on, that I guess it depends on what happens exactly, but it seems the pump has been primed to make this very political, if need be, about DeSantis in particular?
They may try it. I don't. Two problems with doing that. I think the storm's going to weaken a bunch before it gets to land. DeSantis has done everything, I think, right. Some of the Florida press, Joey, was hitting DeSantis for sending help up to North Carolina and not keeping it in Florida at the time, saying it's just politics. Yeah, well, I'd say this, Joey. Think about it like this: how do you think Governor Ivey would be in these shoes as the marshaling these services? And I think DeSantis probably does a little bit better job.
Well, and as we speak, he is giving a live press conference, giving an update, and kind of being that young, commanding leader. And I think Governor Ivey would have a heck of a press release. And I think I think Governor Ivey means well and stuff like this. And we have a lot of great resources in Alabama. For instance, when I saw those trees fall in my neighborhood, the Alabama Power linemen got to work, and we're earning every penny. But yeah, I think you're right. There's something about a young, competent leader who can hold an hour-long press conference, here are the updates, that probably gives people a little more confidence as this thing bears down on the coast.
Yeah, and we don't really know much about the Ivey administration, and it's incredible to think about this. I mean, look how long she's been in office, 8 years now, 9 years, something like that, and I mean, we still don't really know who's running the state, who her like loyal lieutenants are. We kind of figured it out when there was Joe Bonner around, and I mean, like who is going to be the point person for all this, and lining up the power trucks and making sure that the bottled water pallets are all ready to go and ready to be shipped in where needed. Making sure that the gas pumps don't go dry with people trying to evacuate. Like, who is that person in Alabama government? We kind of have an idea of Florida, but we have no idea in Alabama what that would be like, do we?
I agree, and it seems like folks are good with Governor Ivey because she's not any of the craziness that happened, let's say, in the last few years before her in Alabama politics, and everybody knows her name. And that seems to be enough in our dear state. For whatever reason, maybe this next cycle, after this presidential election cycle, this next cycle in Alabama should be a younger generation and pretty heated, is my understanding.
Let's see. This next cycle in Alabama, and it probably ought to be. I mean, will these people finally go away, and will we get a different brand of leadership in the state? But it's just the old guard, good old boys network, and that's, I mean, you know that town just as well as I would think. And I don't know what 2026 holds, but maybe at least we could get maybe some of these people who aren't just like establishment career Montgomery in there and act more like an executive rather than, hey, it's just their turn in line.
Yeah, I've met a lot of great individuals, I think, who are currently holding big offices, statewide offices here in the state. And I don't mind getting to know individual people, but there definitely is a big club that I have no interest of trying to get into in politics in the state. So hopefully it'll work out for the better. And speaking of politics in the state, does not this District 2 race, the Congressional District 2 race, seem awfully quiet with only 20-something days to go?
And, like, I see Caroline Dobson everywhere. I see her on every channel. I see, and maybe, and I will preface this comment by I don't really run in these Democrat circles, but does it feel to you like Shamari Figures is really out and about as much?
No, and again, I'm not in those circles either, but there's a billboard on 85, the Interstate 85, but I haven't seen even that many media appearances from the guy.
Yeah, he's done. He ambushed my show, but he's done Sean's show on 106.5 twice. She's on all the time. She's on everywhere. I mean, and I don't know how much that matters though. I think the top of the ticket pretty much goes as the top ticket goes. So goes this race. But the one thing that I can't, if it really is close, How many people do you think out there, Joey, would never ever vote for Donald Trump, but would vote for Caroline Dobson? I think there's a few.
I think there are a lot of Alabama Republicans in particular. Maybe let's say they're a bit more evangelical, a bit more buttoned up, and they don't like Trump's style. I could see a lot of women in particular being that way. And
how many? Let me ask you the opposite. How many Trump voters do you think will pull the lever for Shamari Figure?
Yeah, like I want to say zero. It's never zero, but almost zero. Yeah.
So I mean, I think that might be an advantage in some ways for her. As like I said, so much is going to depend on the presidential race at the top of the ticket, but I think she's going to outperform Donald Trump on the ballot. Probably that would be my guess. But is it going to be enough? I mean, this is a Democrat district. It's designed for Democrats. How enthusiastic will Democrats be to go out and vote for Kamala Harris on Election Day, knowing that Alabama is probably going to go Republican no matter what they do?
So, speaking of the presidential race, I mean, what is your sense of this thing at this point? It's hard for me to read because I feel like everything I see, especially with media with Kamala and Trump, is more a psychological test, and like how I react tells me more about me than what the actual state of the race is. But what's your gut telling you?
It's hard to see past your own biases, right? Like you want it to go away, and you're always like trying to think of, well, how could I don't know. You get inside your own head, but I still look at the polling, right? And there's a lot of good polling out there for Kamala Harris, but I keep running into this problem. It's like registered voters or adults or something like that, and the methodology seems way off to be. Now, when they start going likely voter, it becomes a little more difficult to interpret. But likely voters tend to go for the Republican side, right, when they are surveyed. And I don't think they have the science down on this likely voter stuff. But for years, Joey, they were basing their likely voter models were based on a very, very rosy Obama era where people wanted to go out and vote and be part of the process, that you've got the minority turnout. You've got that turnout to bolster Democrats, and you don't get that anymore. That's where it fell short with Hillary. And despite losing the election, I mean, Biden way underperformed the polls, too. The midterms are different. I mean, the Republicans underperformed in midterms, but you can't. That's like apples and oranges. You just look at these big national elections, and I think that the public's moved on from Obama, and you just can't rely on that data historically to guide your modeling.
Yeah, I think that's about right. And also, there are little signs. Again, you got to connect all the dots here, but GOP registration surging in swing states. You're seeing the early voting, early ballot absentee numbers falling off a cliff in certain battleground states compared to 2020 numbers. And all these things suggest better things for Republicans. And when you see the support base, whether it's working class folks, union members, young black men, young Hispanic men, maybe Kamala makes it up with a huge wave with women. But it seems like all the traditional markers are kind of going away, to your larger point about this isn't the rosy Obama era anymore.
No, you're right. Republicans got a problem with female voters, but I can tell you something. Democrats got a real problem with male voters. Even some of these minority males are breaking away from Democrats, and that's just unheard of. Like, that's not supposed to happen. These are supposed to be reliable, locked-in Democrat voters. The struggle for Republicans is that they kind of come and go, and we don't really know what you're. I mean, we got an idea, but it's not as locked in as the Democrats are. What's going on there? Why are minority men, even if it's say 15%, which would be like tremendous, why are they walking away from the Democratic Party? Why haven't the Democrats? I mean, is it just because we are really in this era of like woke progressive politics or something on the Democrat side?
Well, and I think it really is media. I just saw this before I started the show here. Chris Williamson, the podcaster, putting out some Gallup numbers He's saying you can know someone's political ideology by their trust in mass media. 73% of Democrats trust mass media. That is up from 60% 20 years ago. 36% of independents trust mass media. That's down 55% from 20 years ago. And 10% of Republicans trust the mass media, down from 40%. So I suspect that some of this is, especially to look at that independent number, it's people finding new alternative media, and that can kind of predict how you might be voting in November.
What bothers me, though, about these numbers, yes, people are distrusting of the media, but they still roll with the media, right?
Yep.
It's like, okay, the media's probably full of it, but if they repeat something enough in the media, it just becomes conventional wisdom, and then that's what sticks. That's the problem. Like, there is a disconnect with the public and the media. People just think, that they're untrustworthy or whatever. But where the media really do harm to Republicans, to Republican causes, is that they just generate something that becomes like the truth. Like Vladimir Putin influenced the 2016 election. And I mean, like, how much was that narrative? People just operate on the assumption it was true. It turned out to be BS. And then there's no cleanup. It doesn't matter. The damage was done. And they get the W. That's what Republicans got to figure out. It's not a trust issue. How do you get these people to turn this crap off and stop paying attention to it?
There you go. And especially when it comes to these big events, whether it's hurricanes or it's war across the world, that seems to still have the media seems to still have a monopoly on that sort of thing. These big, every day, every minute news events. But yeah, we'll see in the long run. If folks want to check out what you're writing about, think about, Jeff, how can they do so?
X.com/Jeff_Poor, everything there, if you want to reach out or whatever you need to do.
And of course, folks, you can always go to 1819news.com and being the editor-in-chief, Jeff's all over it, even though his name isn't always on it. I appreciate being able to do a small part there at 1819 with you guys.
Hey, glad to have you around. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Jeff. Again, folks, Jeff Poor there, editor-in-chief at 1819news.com, and also a pretty good radio host, if I don't say so myself, in his own right. Like, he's actually fairly new to radio. I think I've been in more years.
Is that right?
Radio. He's done a lot more, like, true print media than me. And has been, like he just said, he was an editor in South Alabama when he was in college. So he's been doing that a lot longer than me. But I think I got him on years on radio, which is just, it's a fun, different dynamic. On his show this morning, we got talking about, do you ever get recognized in public? And do you, since we've been doing, especially the live stream?
Yep.
Is it all good interactions?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, I haven't had
Except I had this one guy come up
one.
after we called him a jackass on the radio.
Yeah.
Or I called him a jackass on the radio.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, the next day, I ran into that jackass.
Yeah, and then y'all are like friends now?
Yeah, he's cool. He's as cool as he can be. But it was, so things like, and I had a politician one time call me at home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we talked about them on the radio. And they
a
called
local
in.
one?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
And they said, hey, I heard you talking about me on the radio today.
No, I just suspect it wouldn't be like Tuberville or Brett.
No.
Because
no, it wasn't them.
We're mild compared to their usual crap they get thrown their way.
So, but it's all been good. All fun.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that often, but it's never been a bad interaction.
No, never really had a bad one. Most of the time, they usually ask about Joey, and is he really single? And they usually ask, like, what's going on with that? And I'm like,
why is everybody so?
Well, because I think we're part of their life, so they want the best. They always want the best, and they always have advice for you. Some of it I give you, some of it I don't.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, you're good.
Slowly but surely behind the scenes, folks. I'm working on it. So everything on the TV, by the way, is this hurricane.
Oh yeah, man, it's everything.
Yes, it is bearing down. Hopefully it does weaken before it actually pushes through. But the storm surge is going to be massive.
Yeah, I mean, that's most of the state.
And have you seen the images of it from space?
I have. I saw something this morning on that.
Yeah, if you jump on the live stream with us, folks, we'll have it up here for a second. You can always scrub back to this point if you haven't seen this. This is, I think, is this the space station? And you can see it, like, clear as day.
Wow.
Look at that.
That's how they always look. They're just so massive.
Like the eye right there.
Yeah.
And how
Just
tight
clear
that eye
cut,
is.
yeah.
But that is, when you see it, not just radar, you see the cloud cover from space with the naked eye.
Mm-hmm.
That is, well, that's enough to make you believe in God right there.
I saw a hurricane plane go through this morning, and they showed the video of it from the inside. That thing was rocking and rolling much more than I thought they would. I mean, it was not a fun little flight, I could tell, for everyone.
What was the worst storm you've been through?
I think Hugo.
Hugo?
Yeah.
When was that?
I forget now. It's like 2 days after my birthday, and I drove all the way from
80s,
Alaska.
90s?
Yeah, 90s, I think. 80s, probably late 80s, early 90s. Drove all the way from Alaska, got there 3 or 4 days before the hurricane hit, and it changed our lives dramatically. I mean, it totally changed the path of our life, no doubt.
Yeah, the only one I remember is my dad was out of town for a business trip, and Opal came through.
Yeah.
So my mom got freaked out, went over to our grandparents' house, and like it was fine.
Yeah, my wife and I rode out Opal on Lake Jordan in a house that it was a pretty rough house. I got to be honest. It was, we were young and we were living on the lake, so we thought we had it made. But that storm kind of reminded us, might want to find something a little better.
Well, and, I was asking my uncle, who's been a Floridian for decades now, do you think all the new Floridians are ready for this? He's like, no.
Oh, no.
And there's a lot of them
There's
that are just
so
getting out.
many, yeah.
Like millions of people leaving the state at this moment.
Yeah. Have they gone to one-way traffic yet? Do you know?
I don't know.
I know a buddy of mine's got to go to Pensacola today. And I was like, you're going to be that one van on CNN they show driving.
Right.
He's like, yep, that's me.
Well, and apparently a lot of people didn't just leave the state. A lot of people did just go to the Panhandle.
Oh, they moved up. And I saw lots of people offering up land where they could bring their animals to and bring their RVs to. So that was good.
Oh, yeah, and given my dad lives in that area in Lillian, Alabama, stone's throw away from Pensacola.
Yep.
It's, there's a lot of land. There's a lot of room. And that's kind of the middle of nowhere.
It is.
In a good way.
And in Florida, it's so flat, too. There's not a whole lot of terrain that'll kind of slow things down.
Right. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
But have you seen, and I've just seen a couple, hurricane hunters and I guess you'd say adrenaline-seeking people are going down there to specifically ride the storm.
Really?
Yeah, there's one guy they covered on Fox. He's a storm chaser, and he's got his storm chaser vehicle. And as exciting as that may be, at the same time, I'm going, whoa, what do you do?
Well, because
what do you think?
It is certain, maybe that's the adrenaline rush because you could be doing everything within your power correctly, but what if a tree just slams into your
yard
truck?
sign? Poof, you're impaled. I mean,
you're done.
Right.
A rush of water, you're done.
I can see the excitement part of it, but I can also see putting a camera down there and watching it from the safety of my car.
And I think Americans have changed too, because you know how in the 90s Twister was a huge movie? Well, Twisters did not do that well at the box office. And I think it's because, number one, we've seen it before.
Yeah.
What, are you going to hold on, strap a belt to some plumbing in the foundation? And right, that's...
Get in the tub.
That's real. 272-9228. If you have any stories about surviving certain storms, what's the worst you've been through? We will get into the politics today. And actually, I was smiling and laughing. Trump was a guest on the Andrew Schultz Flagrant podcast. With it's like a panel show. It's usually comedy. It's kind of a dude hangout show.
Yeah, it is pretty much a dude show.
And man, it was genuinely funny. I thought it was even more humanizing than Theo Vaughn's podcast.
Now, did you realize what people have been saying? That Trump is one of the funniest people they've ever met. Is that more coming out?
Yes.
You're seeing that more and more now?
Yes, especially when you see him with comedians.
Yeah.
Who are kind of know the tricks of the trade. And well, we've got clips. Trump is even when you think he's making a serious point, the way he'll say a thing, it's freaking hilarious. And at one point, what the left calls rambling, what Democrats are calling rambling, again, this is one of these Rorschach tests. Yeah. Trump goes, I call it the weave. You start one place, and then you go this way, and you come back, and they're saying, some people say it's genius, other people say I'm old, but, you got to know where you started so you can come back to it. Then, we'll get to that clip. He's very engaging in that podcast. Kamala Harris also doing a media press push with Howard Stern, who gave her like a warm bath.
He did. There one question that he did ask, and she refused to answer, which was a strange one. Was, are you going to leave the United States if Donald Trump becomes president?
Well, that's a stupid question, Howard.
Stupid question, but that's Howard. He's
a shut-in now.
Yeah, he's awful. He's the complete opposite of everything he railed against when people fell in love with him. But yeah, he put that to her, and of course she couldn't answer it. But I thought, same thing. Why would you put that? Besides trying to instill more fear, why would you put that to somebody?
And then she also went on with Stephen Colbert, who cracked open a beer with her. And some folks are like, man, look at this human side of Kamala. And I'm kind of like...
What kind of beer was it?
I haven't even seen the clip. We'll play it and watch together.
$20 says it wasn't a Busch Latte.
Probably not. That's more redneck Riviera stuff right there. I know we're a little off from those ways. But hey, let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Papa B.
Hey, Papa B.
Yes. I want to tell you what, you listen to some of these folks and you just don't know. Well, with reporting and everything, you just don't know what to believe anymore and what's real, what's not real. I'm going to turn this buzzer off for you guys. So, I've seen this report that says they got some FEMA official or Lord Austin or somebody saying that they're going to execute 70 to 80,000 people. And then they correct themselves to say they want to evacuate 70 to 80,000. Now, this is trending on social media.
Well, it doesn't help while in the middle of all this, Alex Jones is like, we're on hurricane weapon watch. They're weaponizing the weather. And it's like, damn it. Don't say execute 70,000 people. You'll get them going.
Yeah.
Well, there's a big difference.
People are already on edge about that, Joey.
I would say, and not only that, but you look at what the FEMA response is and the government response, military response. I mean, what would you think? It sounds like they got some validity for saying that, but what do I know? They got, it's the idea that they've weaponized this is kind of beyond dispute right
See,
now.
I tend to think it's more incompetence. Like the guy misspoke, and not to forgive him. That's a terrible thing to say. But then look at this story. Yeah. This is why I say incompetence. FEMA sends hundreds of electric chainsaws to North Carolina town without power.
Does that surprise you, though? Because when they got sold on that, green, baby, we're going to buy these electric chainsaws.
They control the weather. No, it's like, no, they can't even.
Now they're telling you when you can operate a chainsaw.
Now, look, I'm just controlling the weather thing. Okay, there are some things I do believe that some people can do.
Yes.
To manipulate the weather, make it rain more.
Yes.
You got rain clouds.
They've done that a lot in the Middle East.
A lot of seeding.
All that.
In fact, they learned a hard lesson.
The idea that you can create a hurricane, or a tornado,
and steer it
is just stupid. You
got to steer it. That's the most important part.
And steer it. No. Take your little lunatic pills. Let's draw it back in. Go see your psychiatrist. Maybe up the prescription just a little bit.
They're using the fractal energy weapon from Antarctica.
It's the blue laser. Everybody knows this.
That's so stupid. But no, this thing about execute versus evacuate. And then he corrects it, and it's like, what the crap, man? What do you mean? You can't tell the difference between the two words?
Got something on his mind.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That sounds kind of crazy, but it also is kind of happening because there's a whole lot of folks that are living beyond third world type conditions right now, and it doesn't look like a whole lot of help is coming in a hurry.
Nope, it is not.
And weaponized government strikes again. Anyway, all right, guys, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it, Papa B. Yeah, it kind of reminds me, I think it's John McKay, the first Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach.
Mm-hmm.
He was asked, what do you think about your team's execution today? He goes, I'm in favor of it.
I do remember that. That's a clip.
So maybe this administrator is like, I'm so out of my depth here.
Well, one of the big differences I can tell after, in Louisiana after the hurricane, people sat around and waited for the government. That didn't happen in North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. Yeah. They're disappointed the government ain't there. crushed that their government ain't there.
Right.
But by God, they didn't sit on their hands and wait for them.
And no response is ever going to be perfect, given each disaster is unique. But it is very frustrating when you see Mayorkas saying, oh, we're running out of money. And there are fact checks saying, no, they didn't give it to the immigrants. And you got whole clips saying, yes, actually, you did use FEMA funds. It's just, there have been millions and millions of dollars pushed out. Like, there are efforts underway. But come on, like, it does seem like there are a lot of folks that are really caught in the lurch here, especially there in North Carolina and East Tennessee.
And I think in Florida.
And this is not going to make things better with Florida being stressed.
If anything, it gives them, okay, here's your second chance. Yeah. Show something this time. But I don't know how many people actually have faith in.
This is part of the program brought to you by Clearwater's Property Management. With all these storms rolling through, thank God, truly, we're not seeing this in Alabama coming our way. But if you're worried about, say, a big old tree, like, say, an 80-footer that sways to and fro like 8 to 10 feet each way when the wind gets high. Yeah, if it's making you nervous, get it removed. Or maybe you already have a tree that's fallen on the property and you don't want it just sitting there rotting out. Or it could be you're looking for some tree trimming, so branches overhanging the house or slapping the siding of the house. Or it could be line of sight issues. Maybe the driveway's being blocked by overgrowth. They can take care of that with tree trimming. And then, of course, they can do stump grinding. Get rid of that ugly stump that not just an eyesore, it attracts all sorts of little critters you don't want.
Not doing anything good for you.
So call up Reed Waters and the team there at Clearwater's Property Management today. 430-0376. That's 430-0376. And be sure to tell them that Joey and Eddie, those fellas on the radio, sent you. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group with your market report. So far this year, over 3,300 homes have sold and closed in the River region with an average price of $260,000. Over 60% of these homes sold in 60 days or less and sold for 98% of list price. So, two forces are at work right now. First, we have more inventory of homes now than we've had in 4 years. Second, we also have the lowest interest rates in 15 months for VA, FHA, and conventional loans, and this helps sellers and buyers. In addition, sellers are more willing to negotiate favorable terms for buyers than I've seen in over 4 years. So the objection from potential sellers, where would we go if we sold our house? Well, now you have more homes to view than we've had in a long, long time. Why wait? For more information or a written report, call Bo Goodson at 221-2883 or the Goodson Group at 551-0225.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage.
And I'm Madeline Cannon, and we have some exciting news to share with you. We've been serving the state of Alabama for many, many years, and now we are able and ready to offer the same great mortgage financing in Georgia and Florida as well.
Our company may be Alabama Home Mortgage, but now we can finance your Georgia home mortgage and your Florida home mortgage too. We couldn't be more excited to extend our customer base to our neighboring states. For years, we have had customers call us in hopes we could assist them with purchasing their vacation cabin in North Georgia or their dream home in Florida. And now we can. For those of you who have family and friends that live in Florida and Georgia, be sure to tell them the good news.
Whether you are looking to purchase or refinance a home located in Alabama, Georgia, or Florida, you owe it to yourself to give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time.
It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-368, Equal Housing Lender.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Hi, this is Carl Schmidt, naturopath and owner of the Herb Shop. Listen every Saturday to Winning Wellness and learn from experts in different fields of science and technology how nutritional supplements can help you.
Listen to Winning Wellness every Saturday at 10 a.m.
Hi, this is Jeff Mallinson with Georgia Floors Direct, and I want to talk to you about Blue Water Broadcast and how they've helped my business spread the word. As every small business owner, I have to look at my advertising dollars carefully, and Blue Water Broadcast helps me get the most for every dollar I spend. I'm so glad to be a part of Blue Water Broadcasting and what they bring to Montgomery.
Blue Water Broadcasting is the #1 most listened to radio group in the River region. Find out how to put this reach to work for your business. Call us to find out how we can help. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where dump truck drivers are in demand. Wiley Sanders is on the grow. We need dump truck drivers now. Call 855-77-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather. Well, hi, everybody. As monster, potentially catastrophic Milton heads for Florida, our weather is unbelievably nice and progressively cooler. I mean, the days are still warm with sunshine today, high around 85, but clear, cooler upper 50s will feel great tonight. Then look, we're low 80s Thursday, Friday, Saturday, abundant sunshine, very low humidity. The night's cooler again, mid-50s Thursday night, and low 50s Friday and Saturday night. And another great day Sunday, perfect for the Alabama National Fair. More sun, high 86. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
We're redesigning financial freedom at CB&S Bank. Make purchases at participating stores and restaurants using your CB&S Bank debit card through your mobile devices with Mobile Wallet. Charges and fees may apply for your cellular service provider. Contact your service provider for more information. Member FDIC.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the Afternoon. But Eddie, we're not alone now.
Nope.
But we weren't really alone anyway. We had each other. We have Counselor Andrew Szymanski here in the studio. Andrew, how you doing?
I'm good. I am good. We're sitting in here and we're at the screen on watching the progress of Hurricane Milton, which is just, oof, man, for the next 24, 36 hours, we all have to, think really hard about people that are going to be affected by that, because this is crazy.
Well, and here on the screen in front of you, did you see this is a shot from the International Space Station of Milton.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that.
That gives a whole different, radar and all this stuff. No, you see it pretty much with the naked eye there. Look at the
eyes. Oh my gosh, yeah. I saw that video. I think you referenced it earlier, Eddie, the video of the NOAA people flying through with all their instruments.
That's unreal.
It was. I've seen it before, and it's a little bumpy. That's the most violent I've ever seen one.
Oh my
and even
gosh.
those guys seemed to be a little surprised.
Yeah, because there was things falling out of the plane.
Literally all over the plane. I'm thinking, that could go through that wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that courageous.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have a pair on you.
Yeah.
Or a set of orders that you just can't say no to.
Well, and we just, obviously saw what happened in Asheville and Western North Carolina and some other parts of the Southeast that were affected by Helene. And then for this one to be coming through, and obviously Florida, and some parts of Florida getting, a double dip into this is pretty amazing. And to be honest with you, we were talking briefly, is that there's no briefing packet that says oh, by the way, make sure you know this in case a once in a century type disaster of this magnitude is coming sweeping through. I looked up earlier, the city of Tampa has a 7-member city council, and they look a lot like the city council we have here in Montgomery. And you just wonder what even from a leadership standpoint, from a resources standpoint, what it would take to just mobilize or prepare. I mean, they've told everybody to get out.
Just the evacuation part is hard to imagine.
Yeah, does the city leader, is there like a bunker, so that you can be there as soon as, I have no idea, but it's wild.
Some videos I watched last night, and I never took this into consideration. Some folks said they can't afford to leave. They're like, I can't afford, I don't get paid till Friday. I don't have but half a tank of gas. And I just didn't consider that. But when it's time to evacuate, if you're living that close, paycheck to paycheck, I see why some people have to write it out.
Yeah, and I'm very happy to see, the state, Alabama, Georgia, some of the other surrounding areas making things available for people. I saw Commissioner Blankenship made the announcement about state parks and campgrounds and whatnot, and then I've seen a lot of faith-based organizations that are trying. They're sending buses down.
A lot of private citizens open up their property to RVs and people that need to move their animals.
Yeah, surprisingly, even though pretty much everything in our world is quite partisan, it seems to be that hurricane relief is fairly nonpartisan when it comes to the immediate reaction and helping our neighbors. So, but yeah, I mean, I'd have no concept, and this is it's pretty intense.
Let's go to Cooper, who's been patient. Hey, Cooper, how you doing?
Doing good. Speaking strictly on a monetary basis, they talk about how these hurricanes are getting so bad because of the amount of damage that they do. I was in Miami in 1965 when Hurricane Betsy hit. It was a pretty good storm. It wasn't as strong as this one right now, but the monetary damage was way, way, way less. And the reason is, right now, where there's multi-million-dollar homes, there used to be tomato fields. And there was just, there wasn't anything out there to get torn up. Like, I was in a concrete bunker, so I wasn't too worried about myself. But as far as physical damage to buildings and all, it just wasn't that much out.
Yeah, and it seems like these come through, and it's, again, this is not a new phenomenon. Like, I keep saying this, but just spending a little time at St. Pete Beach a few years ago, it's beautiful. It's paradise. But if you just look between the lines, you're like, this whole place is carved out from centuries of storms. You can go back, to the 20s with some of these monsters that have hit Florida, yet people build more and build more.
5 to 10 years with no storms, people get comfortable. People kind of forget a little bit, and that's what happens.
Oh, by the way,
enjoying the show.
Appreciate it, Cooper.
Thank you.
Y'all know the William Jennings Bryan. Yeah. Like, he ran 3-4 times for president. We're being crucified on a cross of gold. He wanted the bimetallic standard, all these things. But, if you think about it, he got that close to the presidency that many times and failed. He then became the spokesman for the huge real estate boom in Florida.
Really?
In the 20s.
Is that right?
Before the massive hurricane.
Oh, my gosh.
Of course.
Like, this guy could not catch a break.
Oh, my goodness.
Of course.
But it is interesting, like, the idea of, we were talking a little bit off air, the insurance. Like, who can pay for insurance when how do you insure against something like that?
Yeah. I mean, and I think one of the, this is obviously more of a national discussion, but this isn't going to stop happening
correct.
And this is just going to continue on. And insurance is, it's a business. It's not it's not a public service. And so it'll be really interesting to see how, we're really forced to respond to that and how people make these kind of real estate decisions down the road. I mean, one of the things that you pointed out earlier was that, these houses that are going to be affected by this that are lined up along Florida's beaches tend to be multi-million-dollar massive houses, people. And so I don't know. I mean, it's a big discussion to have, and it's going to have a huge impact, and it's going to invariably the concern for us as Alabamians too, I assume, and is that what the impact could potentially be on our coastline and the development and operations that are happening down there.
Insurance companies as a whole, our prices are going up. Everybody look at your last time you got a quote from the insurance company on your home prices. Well, imagine living on the beach. But what seems to happen is every 5 to 7 years you get a new place, and ironically enough, every time there's a storm, prices go up down there. Prices go up.
Well, and my dad, I just did a road trip with him to Greenville, South Carolina, and as you do on a 4-hour trip, you talk about all sorts of things. And after we got done listening to the Mustache John Bolton debate Vivek Ramaswamy, we just got talking about what he lives in Lillian, Alabama, which is right on the bay. He's not literally on the water. He's right across the street though. Okay. And friends let him use the boat slip and all that stuff. And he said, they manage different condos, big buildings down there. In the 90s, there was this like stucco stuff that was all the rage. It was essentially foam that if you press hard enough on it with your finger, you could break it.
Yeah.
Entire buildings had this stuff to where these buildings now are uninsurable because they just, anytime there's extra water, it's mildew everywhere.
Yeah.
It's rotted out.
Up, man.
And so it's like, it led to a larger conversation of, we don't build things to last anymore.
We do not. I'm telling you, that's something in the United States we're quick to use stick build. We don't use a whole lot of concrete unless it's a government building. We don't build for lasting. Even when we go to Jamaica, third world countries it is, everything over there is built out of concrete. Everything. And they're used to these kind of storms. And ironically enough, they'll lose the roof, but the building's still there. And here in the States, we just don't. We want that instant gratification. Brick is more than wood. I want a house tomorrow. I'll buy the wood.
Man,
we do.
Yeah, and we'll see how it goes with Florida. But I mean, it's just, especially this shot from the International Space Station. That is the word biblical comes to mind. 272-9228 if you want to get on the conversation. Got to hit another break here. But first, this part of the program brought to you by River Region Contracting. And there at River Region Contracting, Todd Clark and the team are ready to help you with that roof of yours. And it could be you're a little worried. Maybe you heard a bump in the middle of the night. Maybe you haven't had it inspected in a few years. Well, you should have it inspected on, Eddie and I have been suggesting, an annual basis?
Why not?
Well, and because when you work with River Region Contracting, their inspections are always free.
Exactly.
And if they do find an issue, that estimate, write it up, get the right price, free. Now, they're also insurance specialists, so they can walk you through a claims process and make it swift and easy, which is not something people normally associate
Of course not.
with an insurance claim. And they love to educate their customers. They're not going to just show up and be like, stop, go away, kid, you're bothering me. They're going to explain exactly, here's the problem, here's how we're going to fix it. They show up on time, they do the job right, they don't leave a mess. They're just fantastic there. There's a reason a lot of folks are calling them the premier roofing contractor here in the area. So y'all check out River Region Contracting today, 356-8635. That's 356-8635. And be sure to tell them that Joey and Eddie, those fellas on the radio, sent you.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
I'm Wes Allen, Secretary of State. In Alabama, election integrity is a top priority. We must ensure fair, secure, and transparent elections. To vote in Alabama, state law requires voters to present a valid form of photo identification. For a complete list of acceptable identification, or to learn more about acquiring a free photo voter ID, visit alabamavotes.gov.
This message is presented by Alabama Secretary of State Wes Allen.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man. Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
Looking for insurance, or maybe you're just not satisfied with your current carrier? How does quality coverage with local service and competitive rates sound to you? The folks at Stark Agency offer just that. Whether you need insurance for your business, car, home, or life, Stark Agency can help. As an independent insurance agency with over 20 of the top insurance carriers, Stark is sure to find the perfect match for you and your loved ones. Visit their site at starkagency.com or give them a call at 334-263-5535 for a quote today.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to the program. We have a counselor, Andrew Zismansky, and we can get into some city stuff in the next hour because we only got about 2-3 minutes left here before the top of the hour break. Is in your own personal experience, what's like the worst storm you remember being in?
Very, very vividly. Well, there's two really quick. One obviously was Hurricane Andrew in about, I think it was 92. I was a young kid, but I just remember the amount of water and how long our power was out for Andrew, because I grew up in Northeast Massachusetts, and so Andrew made it all the way up the coast as a Cat 4 when it hit Massachusetts, Cat 4, Cat 5. That was pretty insane. And I remember how long we were out of school. I think we were out of school and without power for almost a month. 4 to 5 weeks. That one was pretty catastrophic. Wow. The other one kind of randomly, when I guess it was probably in high school, so the early 2000s, we had the April Fool's, the April Fool's blizzard. And surprisingly, when that hit, I mean, we got, I think that was like when upstate New York and like was getting like 75 inches within 48 hours. We got about storms, like 50 inches, 40 inches. You could jump out of the second story of our house into snow. That was crazy, and for a while a lot of fun. What people don't realize is when that snow melts. Oh my goodness. And I remember people using canoes to go down their driveways. I mean, the flooding and like the catastrophic nature of just, because of course it was April 1st that the snow started. So like 3 days later, it was in the 50s or 60s, and it almost instantly started. And oh my gosh, that was pretty wild. But Andrew was probably the worst hurricane, and then obviously I was here during the tornadoes in 2011, the Tuscaloosa tornadoes, which didn't really directly impact Montgomery, but I, was a lot of people, that were coming out of Tuscaloosa and talking about the carnage and how terrible it was all throughout the state. So, but I'd probably go with Andrew. Yeah,
well, you mentioning a blizzard, that's certainly something we ain't ready for. Like when it snows a little bit around here. Like I guess a couple years back where everything got shut down, it wasn't that much snow or ice.
Yeah.
But it's Alabama. We're not ready in the same way I'd imagine, say, Massachusetts.
Oh, I've seen Boston in times where, like on the sidewalks in Boston, people are carving out like tunnels.
Yeah.
So you're walking underneath like a snow tunnel just down the road. Interestingly enough, and this is totally random, but people that live in Boston, one thing they do is there's an old like kind of code for holding parking spots, because whenever it snows, the city makes you move your car out of the
plow.
Yeah, so they can plow. And what people do is they put everybody keeps like a plastic like a metal chair, and then they go out and they put the chair out, and that it is very
it's
important.
Unwritten law,
the unwritten law is you don't move my chair, but that chair is holding the place for my car when I can put the car back. So you'll see all these random like crappy little like chairs from like I guess like overstock from a school.
Just a placeholder, though.
Yeah, exactly. So
funny.
Oh, well, we got to hit the stop of the hour break. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Hurricane Milton is getting closer and now expected to make landfall late Wednesday. That's according to the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center, which says the storm will make landfall along the center of Florida's west coast. Governor Ron DeSantis said to people choosing to remain home on barrier islands, just know that if you get 10 feet of storm surge, you can't just hunker down with that. Ethel Kennedy, the widow of Robert F. Kennedy, has been hospitalized with a stroke. That happened in her sleep. She's now resting comfortably at a Boston area hospital. On Wall Street, stocks have been higher throughout today's session. The Dow up 396 points. The NASDAQ Composite is up 77. This is SRN News.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, and evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group, because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word faith to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word faith to 989898 and you're going to be blessed by taking action right now.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Alabama Wholesale Lumber. Alabama Wholesale Lumber, serving the river region with the best quality building materials for decades. Contractor to do-it-yourselfer. Call Alabama Wholesale Lumber.
Rich Thomas Weather. Well, hi, everybody. As monster, potentially catastrophic Milton heads for Florida, our weather is unbelievably nice and progressively cooler. I mean, the days are still warm, with sunshine today, high around 85, but clear, cooler, upper 50s will feel great tonight. Then look, we're low 80s Thursday, Friday, Saturday, abundant sunshine, very low humidity. The night's cooler again, mid-50s Thursday night, and low 50s Friday and Saturday night. And another great day Sunday, perfect for the Alabama National Fair. More sun, high 86. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories. A group of concerned Montgomery citizens have formed the Kids Come First PAC. The move comes in response to the recent resignation of popular education superintendent Dr. Melvin Brown. Brown's decision to leave came after Board of Education members made it clear they had no intention of renewing his contract. Keith Moore is no longer director of the Office of Violence Prevention for the City of Montgomery. Moore established the office in December 2021 in an effort to reduce gun violence by young people. A spokesman for the mayor's office confirmed that Moore no longer works for the city Tuesday morning. No further explanation was given. The Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce is preparing to welcome Hurricane Milton evacuees to the city. The chamber has created the Experience Montgomery Hurricane Milton landing page with critical information for people looking for hotel availability and essential emergency resources. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 special. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. For Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Oh, by the way, this song I open up every hour with now. I put out the full song with lyrics, and I'm even trying to sing. So,
No way.
Just search Joey Clark, Where's the Liberty? And it's available pretty much wherever you're going to stream stuff. So, trying out the release process and seeing how that's going. It's fun. It's a fun hobby. I put it that way. Hobby. Let's go to Chris real quick. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hey, guys. Y'all were talking about insurance. You know, eventually what's going to happen is these insurance carriers are going to pull out of these states, and you're not going to have one. And I think, like, down in Baldwin County, there's been problems with that, too, where you really can't find an insurance provider because of the risk pool they have there. So, you know, so that's become a problem. Then all of a sudden, the people are going to start turning around looking at the state to see if they'll help them out. And of course, you don't want, the state doesn't need to have that type of liability on their shoulders either. Right. So you're either going to self-insure or you won't be able to rebuild. And it's going to be a really bad situation for everybody. But speaking of disasters, I was just reading about MPS. And I know the councilman doesn't have much to do with that, but the fact that, you know, we had a tax increase on our millage, and what we got out of all of that is now a dysfunctional board, and we have a dysfunctional, just massive bureaucracy that is the MPS. Do you have Andrew? Do you have any contact, or do y'all talk to MPS at all?
Yeah,
I know that do y'all say, "Hey, man, y'all are destroying the city"? I mean, can y'all?
Well, no, it's a good question, and so I'll give you a couple of things. One is that, you know, especially after the millage increase was done, which was good from a resource standpoint, but then you got to take that opportunity and run with it. And I think one of the things, and this is, you know, going to sound very preachy, but it's the school board, if you look at it right now, going into November, you know, the two positions that are open right now are both unopposed. And actually, you've seen a group of concerned citizens. There have been some news releases in the last 24, 48 hours about trying to get a write-in candidate. But this is one of those ways where people can really get activated, so we can find the most competent people to get onto things like our school boards. And so, but yeah, one of the things that has been done recently is you've seen people starting to show up to the school board meetings as well, and it's always a challenge. We're very reactionary in the way we do things. You know, public safety has always been a problem, and then people say, well, you started paying attention when everybody showed up. Yeah, that definitely has an effect on how people lead and the decisions they make. And so people being engaged and asking these questions is really important. I had the opportunity to meet the previous superintendent, thought he was a good person, thought he had some pretty innovative ideas coming into a school system that already had tons of problems, right? And so, you know, it was not going to be the fixes. We weren't going to turn the clock back and rebuild the schools, the structure it was of the past. We had to start looking at how we do things in the for the future. And I thought he had a lot of that, and it was challenging some of the notions that you get. I also think that when you have a lot of institutionalized educators that are representing your school board, it's hard for them to kind of see what that future could look like. So, like I said, it's not, we don't have that kind of direct contact with the school board, and we don't have joint meetings with them like we do the county commissioners. But we're telling the county commissioners whenever we get the chance, you know, what's going on? How do we need to help this problem? Because we don't, you know, the majority of the students that go to MPS schools are living here within the city limits.
Well, the problem is they're running and nothing against the board members now, but I understand that, you know, hey, I've been in education for this long, and therefore I'm going to run for this office. But honestly, that's really the kind of the smaller aspect of that job. It's a financial situation. It's a situation where you're having to hire and fire people. And it seems to me that the board seems to be more worried about, I guess the teachers involved in this instead of the business side of it. I mean, I don't really know ins and outs of
micromanagement.
it.
You can say it what it is from what we've heard in the news and in the statements that the former, well, he's still a superintendent, but will soon to be former superintendent said. It's the micromanagement. It's people going into classrooms and having conversations with teachers. You know, there is a structure. You know, I said it when I first came on this show, and we were talking about kind of what I understood the role to be is that, you know, the council, we are primarily leadership, right? We are not day-to-day managers of the city of Montgomery, right? We have a hand on the budgeting process. We can inform decisions. We can help constituents when they're having issues interacting with different departments in the city. But it's not my job to go down to, you know, Parks and Rec and to go scold somebody who, you know, is working over there, or to go into the finance department and stuff like that. There's a way these things work. And it seems like one of the major frustrations that the superintendent had is that there was this kind of culture of going behind his back and trying to manage the school more directly. And that's just not how that works. And then again, you know, as when things we're not really paying attention and people aren't as engaged, you just don't get a lot of as much turnover at the school board, and you know, to have uncontested elections. And so you know, I'm paying very close attention to this Kids Come First PAC and seeing the work that's being done there with their write-in candidate, because I do think that there is some validity to the idea that we should be picking, you know, the most qualified people to be sitting in these positions.
Well, I appreciate the call, Chris.
Yeah, about my quick thing is how he's going to hire somebody in that position.
That's going to be tough,
man.
That's going to be tough.
With that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. And then, by the way,
read the paper
before all
too.
this happened, before Barbara Thompson, before all these people, there was a gentleman. I'm not going to say his name. People listening probably know who he was. He was not being groomed, but he was going to be the guy that was going to come in and fix the Montgomery public school system. And the problem was he was not the right color skin. And that's the problem.
Well, that's one of the problems.
Yeah. Well, you bring up the best point. This board is going to be selecting a new superintendent, and we need to pay attention and be active and
hold them accountable for their decision, though.
Yep.
Appreciate it, Chris.
Yeah.
And this is the reporting from Craig Monger at 1819news.com about this Kids Come First PAC. It's essentially laying the blame on this Melvin Brown, Dr. Brown's resignation, seemingly forced resignation, on District 7 member of the Montgomery County Board of Education, Arika Watkins Smith, who motioned to accept the resignation. And so the PAC put out this release. I want to go through some of the reasons. I think it'd be good to air this out. Number one, local education governance is not just the purview of elected officials, but a shared responsibility of the entire community. The recent events have underscored the need for greater community involvement in ensuring that educational decisions reflect the best intentions of students, parents, and educators, a point that Watkins Smith has opposed, ignored, and worked against. Number two, the removal of Dr. Brown, who was celebrated for his contributions to educational turnaround and progress, has introduced unnecessary instability. The PAC will advocate for leadership that prioritizes educational continuity, excellence, and the welfare of students over petty personal or political agendas. Number three, by encouraging a write-in campaign for Ebony Evans, again, a write-in campaign for Ebony Evans, the PAC aims to send a clear message about the community's expectations for board leadership, that Montgomery children should not be subject to the incompetence and ineffectiveness of the board to bring upon real, substantive, and measurable improvement. Evans is recognized for her commitment to educational equity and community engagement, qualities seen as essential for healing and moving forward. And, you know, I'll say this too. I think, you know, everything these days, especially national media in the middle of the presidential cycle, is partisan. I have a very good sense that this is very bipartisan happening right now behind the scenes in Montgomery. And there are a lot of folks, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, whatever, who are all seeing the same thing and wanting changes. So I don't do this often, talking about Montgomery Public Schools, because I'm not a parent, and I think it is in first and foremost the parents' purview. But it does affect everything in our city, in our area, and you hate to see kids stuck in that system. When I know for a fact these kids, if they are put in a better situation, will excel.
Sure.
And it's just a shame. And honestly, I've known people that have worked on the board years ago that have tried. I've seen all these new, changes, and to me, I think what you need is a board that hires a good superintendent and gets the heck out of the way.
Yeah.
let the executive, you talked about don't micromanage.
Yeah.
I'd imagine in the city, if something's really going wrong in the department, it's the mayor's job to go knock heads together. You do need an executive at times to be able to, I think, restructure things, to really say this is what we need to do. And given the crisis that's been ongoing now for a generation at MPS, I think it's time you have strong executive leadership. Doesn't mean you get rid of the board. Doesn't mean you scrap that, org chart. Just everybody, let's work together to empower somebody we think can actually get this right. I think the extreme would be the city jumping in and trying to do something with schools. But as we said last week, you're on the council. That's a heavy lift right there.
Well, it's a heavy lift. And again, just like we've talked about with a lot of things, it's not you don't flip a switch. That's something that requires, the state legislatures that would impact the others.
And I think it would throw us into more chaos immediately because it would be something they would people would expect to be implemented right away. And like Andrew's saying, there's no way that can be done right away.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's, you make a lot of great points. Amanda and I don't have children either, but every single time I go to a Chamber of Commerce or Economic Development, or we're having a discussion about attracting business here, we know that the two most important things are public safety and schools, right? And so the same focus that we have been having on public safety and the work that's been going into it, the partnerships, everybody coming together, super important to do, and has mobilized the conversation and moved resources, and people are feeling a little bit, right? We're about to have another graduating class of some new police officers, new vehicles on the road. You saw a motorcycle cop for the first time very recently.
People on Facebook are commenting. So they're out there. Yes.
Yeah. So but now we got to talk about schools, right? And this is what I think you're seeing. And one of the things I thought was impressive about that Kids Come First article was they said, $12,000 was raised in the first 3 or 4 days. That is people in the city saying, look, we have more information and we want to make a decision about the future of our school system because it does affect everything we do here, right? We keep saying we lost 12,000 citizens in between the last two censuses in 2010 and 2020. We need those back.
Yeah.
And those people are going to come. They're going to be professionals, families. Yeah. There's a lot of great things that Montgomery has to offer. And school and education should be a no-brainer for sure.
To me too. That's the same thing. I don't understand why it's not. You get more out of that for every dime you put in. You get dollars out.
Oh yeah.
I just don't understand why we don't do that.
My mom was a public school teacher for 39 years back in Massachusetts, and actually after she retired from teaching, she went to the state to go help with doing some modernizing of the curriculum. And she stayed in the same school system. Teachers and administrators that feel supported by their communities and by their governance boards will stay, and they are some of the most important people. If you look back and you may not remember the person that was the bank teller at your local bank when you were a kid, but you definitely remember who you're. I can tell you my first
grade
second,
teacher,
third, fourth, fifth,
exactly
sixth, yeah. The good ones that you liked, the ones that were good teachers, but they just got onto you a lot. So at the time you didn't like them.
Miss Williams.
But yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, and that's why I think it's important now. We're very close to election day, and there's a whole host of reasons why people should get out and vote. But hopefully this is another reason.
And just to keep the score here, everybody knows the board just hired Chief of Staff Jamie Wilson to be the Montgomery Public School System's new interim superintendent Tuesday night.
Yes.
You can read more about that at 1819news.com. Caleb Taylor putting that out, I believe, today. Yeah. And, my experience in education, other than, I did the big public university at Auburn, but, 12 years of private Catholic education, and not everything can be scaled to certain other things. But what I've noticed at Catholic is it's generational. Like sometimes you have like the same family staying to help run the school, and you see teachers that stay. And I went there 20 years ago, or what? I'm forgetting. I'm losing track of time. 17 years ago. Phew. You can have the same teachers. Like, oh yeah, we both had Miss Ortega. Oh yeah, and if you have this turnover that's happening in the public school system, it makes you wonder what sort of community can you even build if you don't have the same folks there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I've been very fortunate. Counselor Riley and I have gone over to Carver High School a few times, met with the principal over there. Principal Sharp was doing a great job over there. There's, they've had to take two rival high schools and meld them together. This is really serious stuff, and you want to make sure that the executive, and what we got told is that Superintendent Brown they said if there was free agency for superintendents, he would have been like top dollar. We got somebody who was excellent. It is disheartening as a city official or elected official, whatever, to look at this landscape and say, we're gonna let that walk out our door. Some community is about to be so blessed by having this guy come in, and we're just gonna so.
Well, and when the way Dr. Brown put out that video, that message, I thought it was, number one, classy, because he didn't name names, he didn't get into the mud, so to speak. But I did get a little blowback. People he mentioned comments on the radio, and they're like, Joey, is that your show? I'm like, well, if you listened, you know that no, it is not my show. We were yelling about Trump or something. Give me a break. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. This part of the program brought to you by All Pro Heating, Air, and Electrical. And, of course, All Pro can do a checkup on that HVAC system of yours. Could be you're getting 10, 15 years in. You might need a new unit. You might need a new unit. And, well, the beautiful thing is they do have financing with approved credit.
Right.
And then here's another idea that they can do for you that you need to treat as an investment, not as a luxury, an investment to an improvement on your home. That's a Generac generator.
Yes,
I think if you've seen the news, this sort of speaks for itself. I have family just went without power for a week or two. Mm-hmm. It is no fun. But if you have a, say, professional-grade Generac generator installed by All Pro, you're not going to have those problems when the storms roll through, which they do here in the River region. So check out All Pro today. You can always go to allproheatingair.com or give them a call at 301-1961. That's 301-1961. And be sure to tell them that you heard about them here on the radio from that Joey fellow.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
Hey guys, this is Todd Clark with River Region Contracting, your premier roofing contractor in Central Alabama. So remember the name, River Region Contracting, for all your roofing needs. We're not affiliated with any other roofing company in the River Region. We've been in the roofing business since 2005. We don't have to buy our leads, and we don't have to knock on doors when the storms come around. We have thousands of satisfied customers throughout Central Alabama. So call us at 334-356-8635. That's 334-356-8635.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
When news happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACB.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Simpler Days. Hey, Simpler Days.
Simpler Days.
Hey, just a couple of questions for the council member.
Okay.
Fire away.
How long have you been in Montgomery?
14 years.
Okay. Do you realize that Montgomery had great public school system, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, that the magnet school program as we know it today came from Lanier High School. We had great sports programs, great academics, great PTAs, great community involvement, and it was led by local people. Why do we have to go on these statewide, nationwide searches to find somebody to lead the school system?
That's a great question. I mean, I think there's a couple things that we just obviously are pointing out now that the people in the know that are more close to the school system may not be as interested. But I have heard that I have heard about all the great things that came out of our school system in the past. I had some people that I met with early on in the campaign that were a lot of Lanier graduates, people that remember the Cloverdale School that's now part of the Huntington's campus. It's not great schools are something that we can get back to, and something that we definitely need to focus on.
Sure it is, and it's all about leadership, but we don't have to. We've got multiple colleges in Montgomery. We've got great people that come into Maxwell Air Force Base that have come here and retired. We've got very, very great talent in this area. I just don't understand why we've got to get caught up in this thing that you've got to go to another state. If somebody's not familiar with the culture, not familiar with the region.
Yeah, no, I think that you bring up a good point. I mean, I as I said, I was not part of the decision-making process, and I don't really know kind of what motivated, but I do know that from what people told me about Dr. Brown is that if you have a Dr. Brown sitting out there, you go out there and you get him.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now, what they do this time around, I'm not really sure what their approach is. That's why I say people have to be active. They have to be paying attention. They need to be going to school board meetings, and they need to be asking these questions to the people that are making the decisions. You know, it's kind of the same way that people do when they come to city council meetings. So I think you have a valid point. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. You know, it's now in the hands of our school board to decide where they can get the best person for the job.
Oh, Simpler Days, given, you've been here for decades, what do you think went wrong?
Well, I think they moved away from local leadership. And you saw it with Barbara Thompson having to go to Wisconsin and bring her in. And it's just like with you have an effect. You have some control over this council member, over the police department. We're going on a nationwide search now for a police chief, and for all those years prior to Chief Finley, we had local police chiefs, and they understood Montgomery. They understood the geography, the culture. They understood all of that, and they understood the department's inner workings. But now we've got to do this, and look at the fire department. The fire department is a great example. We've got one of the best fire departments in the country, and it's led by homegrown local leadership.
You're right.
This is true.
You're right.
So I just don't understand why we've shifted in this mindset that we think everything is better coming from another state, and we bypass the talent around us.
Well, and I will say this, that it is customary for, when you put a job posting out, you're not just restricting it to your local municipality. And I know some people that have at least have told me they're putting in applications or have interest in being the next police chief that are from the area, whether they be MPD officers, ALEA, whatever. So, the hope is that you get the best person who has a whole resume of qualifications that make them the right person for the job. And hopefully the school board is going to do that and look at that when they pick the next superintendent as well. That's why we have to be active in this. That's why people have to get out and vote, make sure that their elected officials are there doing the jobs they were chosen to do.
Well, and I don't know what the mayor's thinking. I need to be paid a lot more if I need to know what any elected official is really thinking at the end of the day. But least consider interim Chief Grayboys in the interview process. It seems things have been going at least in the right direction. I know that is with state supplementing a lot of things, and the county and sheriff's office helping out as well. I think that Max, the Montgomery Area Crime Suppression Unit, has worked, at least as a short-term solution. Sure. Birmingham needs to look into something like that. And you got to look at the folks who helped make that happen. Of course, all sorts of credit to Hal Taylor and Steve Marshall and Sheriff Cunningham, but Jim Grayboy is a part of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, have you had a chance to talk to any of the rank and file officers about their feelings about Chief Grayboy? Because if we've got somebody that knows the history of that department, that knows the history of the city, that's worked for different multiple law enforcement agencies, why do we feel compelled that we've got to go outside and bring some foreigner in?
Well, again, I don't think we actually feel compelled to do that. I think that anytime you have a position of this nature that is out there, you're going to take applications, right? That's just the due diligence process that you need to go through. So I've not been told that we are not considering local applicants at all. In fact, I think that the process has been quite open. I think the last time we got an update on it, there was about 40 to 60 people had already applied, and that process is moving along. So, it's not my decision to make. It's my decision to make sure that we have all the resources and tools allocated to make the police force as strong as they can be, just like we do with any of our other departments. So we should keep an eye on this as it develops.
Well, I appreciate the call, Simpler guys.
The last two applicants from other states didn't work out too well with the police department.
Fair.
Thank you.
Fair.
Appreciate it. 272-9228. Let's go to Gina? Jeannie?
Let's go Jeannie.
Hey, it's Jana Bailey.
Oh, hey, Jana.
Hi,
How are you this afternoon?
Great.
Hey, I wanted to call in. I heard Andrew talking about the school board challenges that we're having now, and just appreciate it. Andrew coming on the show and putting that first on your show. As most everybody knows, I served on the school board for 4 years and opted not to run. But during my tenure, we, brought the school back, so we did not have to be unaccredited, and we were on the state supervision, so we checked all the boxes, and we got the board where it was less dysfunctional and less micromanaging. And we hired Dr. Brown, who was the absolute best superintendent, in my opinion, that our system has seen in a very, very long time. And within 2 years, the board's dysfunction, their micromanaging every single detail, is part of the reason that Dr. Brown was run off and he ended up resigning. Having been on the inside, I can understand the frustration of how the board treated him with, every single thing, going into the schools and when parents call, or taking it upon themselves to work out problems between principals and teachers and not giving that responsibility to the superintendent. And that's where we are today. I have worked for boards. I serve on boards. The board's responsibility is to govern, to put a budget in place, and to oversee the executive director, president, superintendent. And that is it. That is all their role is. Unfortunately, we have people on the school board that have been there that continue to get into the weeds. And so right now, when this happened, that they accepted his resignation probably three and a half weeks ago now, I'm very glad to be working with the PAC and the effort to replace one of those board members in this election, and then looking 2 years down the road to help bring some new blood and some new ideas and really some people that understand how a board is supposed to work. That is what we're missing in Montgomery, among other things. But for 2 years, we had hope. We were moving forward, and it's just been very frustrating.
Well, I appreciate the call, Jana. If you don't mind me asking, why did you decide not to run again?
I didn't run again because there are people that are on there, that are still on there, that caused me to have, some some issues with my own anxiety and stress. I have spent 30 years in my professional life serving children, and I will never give that up. But I couldn't serve in that capacity because there were some people on there that, like I said, got into my personal well-being, and I couldn't put myself through that again. So, but I have still been very committed, and not sure where God wants me to go, but I do know that where we are right now, working with this PAC and pushing the people in District 7 to make a difference and write in Ebony Evans, because that is how change happens. And we must do this in order to keep going in the direction that Dr. Brown had us going on in the last 2 years. We can't sit around and wait 2 more years for another election to come up. We've got to do something now. And I've heard you talk about how it is everybody's responsibility, and it is. It is all of our responsibilities that live in this community to get people who are going to lead us forward and not continue to bring this system down because of their own personal agendas.
Well, great hearing from you, Jenna, and
Thank you.
Call again anytime, any topic.
Absolutely, I will. I look forward to it. And thank you again for continuing to push this message out.
Sure. Again, folks, Janet Bailey. Appreciate that. We got to hit another break here. I do want to talk budgets because the budget just got passed at the city level. So just talk about the process and what came out at the other end. Before we hit the break, this part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services, and their Pest Pro Ashley and that team are ready to help you with any and all your pest control needs. Could be you've got an emergency job. You just went through that, Eddie.
Yeah, when I had some ants at the Airbnb, and sure enough, man, within, I think, 2 hours, they were there. Took care of the ants, made everybody happy.
Do you think it helped that you already had a relationship with them?
I know it helped.
Yes.
I know it helped.
And this is why you need to make Pest Pro Services your everyday pest control company. Now, if you don't know them, you've never used them before, you call up with an emergency, they'll be there, Johnny on the spot. But it helps to know they know you already. They know your property already. Mm-hmm. And they've been growing leaps and bounds, especially since COVID, because of the great work Ashley has done. Not only are they truly skilled professionals in the pest control business, she's just great. She is. I know a support system for other small business owners, other entrepreneurs. She's giving back to the community. When you spend your money with them, you know you're spending it with your neighbors. So it stays here in the area. Call them today. That number for Pest Pro, 265-9990. That's 265-9990. Or you can always go to ppsriverregion.com or just search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. What do you want to know? Call a pro. Pest Pro Services. And be sure to tell them that Joey and Eddie, those fellas on the radio, sent you.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Ah, Igor, don't you just love the sound of thunder? No, Dr. Frankenstein. It's scary. But I need a lightning bolt to bring the monster to life.
Actually, lightning is scary. A single strike within a mile of your home can send a tidal wave of voltage through the wires, burning out your computers, TVs, and GFCI plugs, even refrigerators and ovens.
Oh, drat. Missed us again.
But here's the good news. The trained technicians at Crosby Electric can install an economical whole house system to protect you from electrical surges caused by lightning, downed power lines, nearby factories, or just the recycling of your own appliances.
Igor, why am I not getting a surge? Well, I have a pretty good hunch. Why, yes, Igor, and a fine hunch it is.
Igor ordered whole house surge protection from Crosby Electric. So should you. Visit crosbyelectric.com or call 272-2085.
Enjoy an evening of wine on the water at the 14th Annual Riverwalk Wine Festival, Friday, October 11th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Union Station Train Shed. This event includes a variety of wine tastings, food vendors, and live music by DJ Wright and the Wesley Hill Band. Must be 21 or over to purchase a ticket. Tickets available online at mgmcityevents.com or montgomeryal.gov. Proceeds go to the Family Sunshine Center. Don't miss the fun. Brought to you by the City of Montgomery Department of Cultural Affairs.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. an equal housing lender.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From a little fender bender to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For over 35 years, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Rich Thomas Weather. Well, hi, everybody. As monster, potentially catastrophic Milton heads for Florida, our weather is unbelievably nice and progressively cooler. I mean, the days are still warm, with sunshine today, high around 85, but clear, cooler upper 50s will feel great tonight. Then look for low 80s Thursday, Friday, Saturday, abundant sunshine, very low humidity. The nights cooler again, mid-50s Thursday night, and low 50s Friday and Saturday night. And another great day Sunday, perfect for the Alabama National Fair. More sun, high 86. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
John Bobo with Capital Tractor. Have you heard the news? Capital Tractor will soon be moving to a brand new location in Montgomery. With lots of Kubota inventory, we're going to sell it instead of move it. Our big moving sale is a great time to get a great deal on a Kubota at Capital Tractor in Montgomery.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. So, since we have a city councilman here, Councilor Andrew Szymanski, and the budgets were just passed, it's over and done, but somebody told me, I think it was you, that you were the only vote against?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So, it's a learning process, of course, and I've hope that to be even better equipped next year. But yeah, so the last kind of on the night that we had the budget scheduled, we were still finalizing our new business license structure, fee structure for the city, which did pass, and we had gone through, and a lot of credit to the finance department, licensing, the other counselors that were involved in the commerce committee. We got really close to getting that right, but there was one category that we missed. There was an oversight, and the way that it was done, contractors and builders who already pay, all the different permitting type structures, their license fees were going to go up dramatically. Again, because of a mistake and an oversight that was acknowledged that night. We had the head of the Home Builders Association there, and I was asking if we could fix that and then vote that in, which was tied to the budget, because obviously our revenue projections were based on this new structure of licenses getting passed. There was a lot of motivation, I would say, to pass the budget and to have it done. There was some talk about how this could potentially, affect expected raises and whatnot. But look, we had a council meeting on October 2nd. And so we had the opportunity after one day into the new fiscal year to take on the new budget. And I wanted to get it right. And so I thought that, yes, we could retroactively, but, from right now until we get that changed, we're not in a great spot. And so we want to be competitive, and we don't want to tell people. We keep saying we need housing in this city, more affordable housing, more workforce housing, more young family housing, all that type of stuff. We should get this one component right so that builders want to build, right?
And that wasn't the point of this new fee structure. No. It was based on things that nobody was paying for.
Yeah, and it was a whole, as I said, we went through every type of licensing in the city. It was months of work, and I get it that we wanted to move that along. But because that ended up passing the license structure, to my objection, I couldn't in good faith think that it was the right thing to do to vote for the budget. It passed. There's a bit of an increase over last year's budget, which is pretty standard. You're seeing, that Montgomery is still in a strong economic position when it comes to revenues, especially with the boom of tourism in the city, the need for hotel rooms and the lodging tax that we're collecting, and a commitment by the mayor to improving kind of our gateway access points into the city at the different on and off ramp sites, the exits on 65 and 85. All that's great. There's also a lot of projects being done and things being proposed that are going to come into play this year, and we're seeing the development of our community centers getting finalized. I'm super excited because District 7, the new fire station, Station 10, state of the art on South Court Street. I mean, it is massive. Yeah. I don't know why it is that our fire trucks in the United States just like they keep getting like gigantic. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever been over to like Europe or Asia, but they have like these like little,
like a little van, like a utility van. Yeah.
But the bays for this new fire station are absolutely incredible. And to Simpler Days' point, we have a phenomenal fire department. So that was all well and good. Ran into another little road bump trying to get my contracts resolution passed. It got tabled by a vote of the council until the beginning of November. So hopefully we'll be talking about that. And again, just wanted to make sure that we have, good government accountability and for the council to be informed about how we're spending all of the dollars that are in that budget. But there was the 15% increase for police officers across the board, a 5% cost of living adjustment for all city employees. That was good. There's some new departments and some positions that are going to have the funding for us to kind of fill those out. So the budgeting process was a long process starting in June, and then all of a sudden it was like, we got to do this today. And I found that a little frustrating, and hopefully now I'm better informed about how we can kind of engage in that earlier on so that that doesn't happen.
Well, and it sounds like with the new fee structure on permitting and whatnot, that's a hopefully new revenue source. With the ones that are pretty standard, how are we doing? Like, it sounds like lodging tax is doing pretty well, but I'm trying to remember because it was weeks ago when I watched it. The mayor was saying we were pretty flat in terms of things like sales tax and
so interest. And so one of the things that because I love this kind of stuff, and so I read a whole audit report and have looked at budgets from years past. When you look at the number reference that we see at the council updates, that's always referencing the year before, right? Okay. So you're looking at year after year growth. And so we are seeing a cooling off of the year after year, really coming out of the kind of worst parts of the COVID pandemic, right? Man, I mean, I opened up Hilltop in 2022, and people in spring of 2022, people were ready to get out of their house and drink cold beers with their friends because the alcohol taxes back then were just skyrocketing, and we've seen a cooling off of that. We've seen a little bit of a chill on the gas tax. People are not traveling as much right now. Obviously, we know some of the larger economic factors that may be influencing that. And so, we still had a very strong budget. Our revenue was strong last year. And so there are opportunities for growth. And then one thing that we are addressing, and I know that the city is very committed to doing is making sure that we are getting our staffing, not just in the police department, which a lot of people talk about, but staffing all across the board, whether it be Parks and Rec, sanitation, or even some of the departments that a lot of people don't think of: inspections, finance, legal, special events, and cultural affairs, and just making sure that we have a really robust working government to help our city grow.
Well, pretty much out of time here. Is there anything pressing we've left on the table needs to be brought up here? Because I got to call a sponsor in a second.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I mean, I appreciate the conversation, and it's crazy. Like, election day is less than a month away.
Right.
I mean, good Lord. And it's going to suck the air out of a lot of the talking points about what's happening on a more granular level of the city. But it's also almost a year for myself, Councilor Beard, and Councilor Riley to hit our 1 years, which is a little exciting for us. But yeah, this whole time, I've never really paid attention to the screens in the studio when I'm in here. But today has been pretty crazy, just kind of glued to the Weather Channel over here. And got Fox back there. So just hoping that all those people affected, especially if people out there that are going to be affected by that, as good as it can be.
Yeah, got family down there, well, at least in Orlando. He's been there for a long time, so he's either he's feigning it or he really is still just confident. But we'll see. Everybody say an extra prayer tonight for the folks in Florida in particular.
Yeah,
that gum, like you said, looking at
coming in, I think in the evening,
over 110 miles an hour winds heading into, in particular, Sarasota, just south of
15 to 18 inches of rain in the first 24 hours. I mean,
I think it's coming in on a high tide as well.
Oh my gosh, it is pretty surreal because we just saw all those images coming out of Western North Carolina and Northwest Georgia, and I mean, goodness. So, and in Florida, obviously affected by that too.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Well, and I do always appreciate your time. Good seeing you.
Of course, we'll see you next month. It'll be after Election Day.
Okay. All right. Yeah, either people will be very happy or very sad.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing change between now.
Or maybe we won't know who won. That'll be good for the country.
Tell me that.
That'll be great for the country.
Well, I mean, look, we're not. So you got to call sponsor, but I will say, somebody said, what was it, around 540 votes in Florida in 2000, and it took 30 days for us to declare. I mean,
exactly right.
Shoot, I mean, can you imagine how contentious the Thanksgiving table is going to be if on Thanksgiving this year we don't have a winner?
Wow. And things were a little calmer, believe it or not. They were a little calmer then than they are now.
Yeah, I'm going on vacation tomorrow. Maybe I should go on vacation November too.
Yeah. Great seeing you.
Thanks, guys.
This part of the program brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And they're at Alabama Home Mortgage. Kim Williams and Madeline Cannon are ready to help you, whether you're looking to buy a home or if you're looking to refinance that home, which with rates falling, could be the right time for you, especially if you've been thinking about it but sitting on the fence. You don't have to pull the trigger yet, but at least have a conversation with Kim and Madeline there at Alabama Home Mortgage and let them show you where the numbers are pointing towards. And it could be the right time for you to refinance. I know for a fact that if you're currently in a home using a VA home loan program, they have some, savings through these lower interest rates that you really need to take advantage of. They're the pros there. You need to call them at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit them on the web. Apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Want to take the price of new flooring and tear it in half? You can during Prattville Carpet's biggest sale of the year, going on right now. Save 50% on select luxury vinyl plank and select carpets in stock. Stop into the store to register to win a brand new quartz countertop up to 75 feet until November 20th. No purchase necessary.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for waterproof carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement.
Shop now and save big at PrattvilleCarpet.com.
Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Michael Cohen, Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Hey, Michael, how you doing today?
I'm great. How are y'all?
Oh, we're just watching the Weather Channel and praying to God. Yeah, crazy. So what's the score there today at Cohen's?
The score today is 21-7. You know, we have products and the as I tell everybody, the Maytag repairman, he's not lonely anymore. Nothing is built like it used to be, but sometimes we have to call tech line to work on these units.
Right.
And sometimes we get what we feel are bonehead answers to why something has got a problem. And anyway, I'm thankful that we've got some techs that have been here for 25 years, and with them and all of their experience, they can kind of read between the lines of what the tech people are telling us, and coming up with different solutions that include part of what the tech line says, and then their remedies in hopes that both ways work. And you know the old cliche of the people make the difference. It really is the people. And David and I, we're fortunate that we've tried to surround ourselves with great technicians, great delivery people, great installers like Michael Jacks, great salespeople, so that we can take care of all these different issues that come at us from all these different directions.
Well, and folks, I can just second that as a customer myself. Fantastic work. In particular, I got to see Michael Jacks, the man himself, at work, and they just do an amazing job. And it's not just installing things the right way, it's the people skills. And I think you need to stop by, see the people. You can always go to thinkcohens.com, folks, but I really encourage you to stop by 2515 Eastern Boulevard here in Montgomery. They're open 9 to 6, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And be sure to find, like, Michael and say, hey, we heard you on that radio show with Joey and Eddie, those fellas.
Exactly. And also ask to see the 298s that we have on display.
Oh,
we've got the Sony 98, we've got the Samsung 98. We're kind of rearranging the football area. Anyway, to showcase more of what we really sell.
Well, I really thought my 85 was overkill in a great way. Is it really that much bigger than an 85-inch?
You put a 98 besides an 85, and it kind of dwarfs it.
Well, you said you were rearranging the football area. Would that happen to be because you watched the Alabama game last weekend there, and there were some issues?
If I was going to rearrange it because of the Alabama game, I would just shut it to hell down. We need to redeem ourselves. That was horrific in many ways.
Well, I appreciate the time today, Michael.
All right. Thank y'all.
See you, buddy.
Yeah, that's the one bright spot for Auburn fans.
That's all we got, man. That's all we got.
Man, and where they're, I don't know, I don't listen to those shows, but folks like, fire them.
I did hear a couple, and I know they were just drunk and angry, but I did hear a couple fire them. I'm like, you guys are kidding me.
Yeah.
Last week you knocked off Georgia.
Well, and Feinbaum didn't help because I think he came out and said, Nick Saban would never lose a game like that. And I'm like, no wonder he's got a great career, just stirring things up.
Yep.
Oh, goodness gracious.
He knows what he's doing there.
So you want to get into the national scene?
We can.
This last hour? Well, President Trump was a guest on, of all podcasts, the Flagrant podcast. If you don't know it, it is mostly a comedy podcast.
99.9% comedy.
Andrew Schultz.
Yeah.
I love his style of comedy because there are no sacred cows.
No, he's a bit of a brash comedian.
And he's also smart about it. Like, his comedy's very intelligent, very hip and up to date on, like, say, the events going on in the news, the events going on in politics. So the jokes are always quick, smart. And I think I was a little surprised, though, at how good it was. I watched about half of it.
How relaxed Donnie was?
Yeah, I'm going to watch the rest of it when I get home tonight. But how humanizing, how funny it was.
Yeah.
Like, and then, of course, we've got competing media strategies. With Kamala Harris, we'll play some of the clips with Colbert, on with Howard Stern. So we'll see. I think some of this does come down to this weird media divide, as well as the divide between men and women in this country. So we'll see.
It is. She was on that podcast, Call Her Daddy. And so.
Yeah, it didn't do that well.
Dude, 3-to-1 fan ratios contacted them and said, the reason I listen to you is so I don't have to hear this kind of crap. Please do not ever do this again. To the point, I think she's going to issue an apology before it's all over with. I mean, yeah.
Well, Trump, Theo Vaughn's podcast is huge. He got millions and millions, millions and millions and millions, and all these different ones, Lex Friedman, yada, yada, yada. I'm pretty sure this episode came out in the morning is going to be over a million when we look at it now.
And again, it doesn't show Trump in a bad light at no means.
Right.
And it, like you were saying, it just shows people how humanizing he really is.
We'll get into it. Y'all stay tuned. Be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Hurricane Milton is getting closer and now expected to make landfall late Wednesday. That's according to the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center, which says the storm will make landfall along the center of Florida's west coast. Governor Ron DeSantis said to people choosing to remain home on barrier islands, just know that if you get 10 feet of storm surge, you can't just hunker down with that. Ethel Kennedy, the widow of Robert F. Kennedy, has been hospitalized with a stroke. That happened in her sleep. She's now resting comfortably at a Boston area hospital. On Wall Street, stocks have been higher throughout today's session. The Dow up 396 points. The NASDAQ composite is up 77. This is SRN News.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, an evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. Because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word faith to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word faith to 989898 and you're going to be blessed by taking action right now.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where dump truck drivers are in demand. Wiley Sanders is on the grow. We need dump truck drivers now. Call 855-77-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather. Well, hi, everybody. As monster, potentially catastrophic Milton heads for Florida, our weather is unbelievably nice and progressively cooler. I mean, the days are still warm, with sunshine today, high around 85, but clear, cooler, upper 50s will feel great tonight. Then look for low 80s Thursday, Friday, Saturday, abundant sunshine, very low humidity. The nights cooler again, mid-50s Thursday night, and low 50s Friday and Saturday night. And another great day Sunday, perfect for the Alabama National Fair. More sun, high 86. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Thank you for voting ASC Credit Union, the best credit union in the River Region 6 years in a row. As we celebrate our 70th anniversary, we are proud to be at the top of the list for the best credit union in the hearts of the communities we serve.
1819 News.
After State Representative Wandalyn Gibbon called for the resignation of Birmingham Police Chief Scott Thurmond due to rising violent crime, local law enforcement leaders have come to his defense. Oxford Police Chief Bill Partridge emphasized that while Thurmond is professional, the real issue lies in a cultural problem among youth, exacerbated by lack of education and family structure. Similarly, Calera Police Chief David Heitch argued that blaming Thurmond for Birmingham's violence is unreasonable, likening it to trying to bake a cake with inadequate ingredients and faulty tools. Both chiefs highlighted that the problem extends beyond law enforcement alone. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Alabama Unfiltered Radio, and when I need the news and I need it fast, I turn to Andrea Tice and the Daily Detail. On my way in, it is the most convenient, best way for me to digest what's going on so that I can use it for our show. She tells you what's going on in Alabama that day first and fast. So listen to the Daily Detail with Andrea Tice. Don't miss out.
The Daily Detail is available wherever podcasts are found.
The widening of Alabama Highway 59 in Gulf Shores has stalled due to a contractor change. John G. Walton Construction Company, originally managing the project, was acquired by Wiregrass Construction Company in September, causing a temporary halt in work. Gulf Shores Mayor Robert Kraft acknowledged public frustration but expressed optimism, noting improvements in site cleanliness and hopes for an accelerated schedule under the new contractor. The project, funded by the U.S. Department of Transportation's Build Grant program and local sources, is not overseen by ALDOT. I'm Katie Hyde in for Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
At the Alabama National Fair, we love all our furry friends, and this Friday is Pet Food Friday. To get in for just $10, bring a donation of dog or cat food for the Humane Shelter. Your $10 ticket also includes parking. Get ready for a Saturday night to remember. Still Cousin will rock the Coliseum stage at 7. Then cap off your fair experience on Monday with School Day. Everyone gets in for $10, and you can snag a wristband for $20. The final weekend of the fair is almost here. Don't let the fun and excitement pass you by. And while here, treat yourself to all the delicious fair food you can handle.
I love to munch down on giant turkey legs, funnel cakes, corn dogs, barbecue, and more.
From mouth-watering eats and thrilling rides to incredible agricultural exhibits and free shows like the Cervini Family Circus and the Fearless Flores Thrill Show, this year's fair is packed with unforgettable moments. Coming up, Pet Food Friday this Friday and School Day Monday to close out this year's fair. Sponsored by the Kiwanis Club of Montgomery, Coca-Cola, and Hyundai Motor Manufacturing, Alabama.
11 days of fall.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy.
In politics, man must learn to rise above principle.
This is the Trump country. We live in the Southeast. We drink sweet tea. We don't drink socialist Kool-Aid.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. 334-272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. Eddie Bader's still here in the studio.
Hanging out with you today.
And, well, this is starting the media tours.
Yeah.
Kamala went on The View.
I can see that.
And folks have already turned it into a Trump ad.
Oh.
Yeah, let's listen in together.
Well, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Well.
Ooh. Well, and she looked like a deer in the headlights.
She really did. She did not expect that one. I thought these were friendly interviews.
No, sometimes it's going to happen where you're so chummy and friendly with somebody that you're kind of innocently, like, you don't even realize what you're doing. And I think that's what Sonny Houston just did.
You got to be ready for that question. Sure, certainly her preparer said, hey, this is something that's going to come up at some point.
Yeah. Well, and did you see that Trump issued a mean tweet? No. He really broke out. It was on the X platform. And this is also after the 60 Minutes interview was sliced and diced.
Yeah.
They edited the heck out of that thing.
They didn't make her look better.
No.
I mean, I'll be honest. I saw the pre-edited and post.
So here's Trump's mean tweet. And he shared the same clip that we just played from The View. Lying Kamala, who is being exposed as a dummy every time she does a show, just stated to the degenerates on The View that she would have done nothing different than crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States. All caps, by the way.
Well,
The lamestream media doesn't want to pick up the story. The dumb women on the show wish they never asked her the question that led to that election-defying answer. But the internet is going wild. For starters, and then again, all these words I'm about to say are in all caps. The border disaster, with murders and everyone else being allowed to invade our country, worst inflation in history, the Ukraine disaster, October 7th with Israel, loss of energy independence, the Afghanistan debacle, loss of all respect over the globe, and much more. Her dumbest answer so far.
It's only going to get better.
My favorite part of that tweet is the lamestream media doesn't want you to pick up the story. The dumb women on the show wish they never asked her.
Well,
I like the mean
cannot argue with
tweets.
that.
I like the mean tweets. They make me
He's a
laugh.
mean one. But, Joey, that's why people don't like the man. And I thought we just wanted to run a safe, comfortable campaign from here on out. I mean, he's in the victory lane.
No.
Let's not burn bridges. We're burning bridges.
No, because the women on The View are dumb.
I agree.
Right.
But we could wait a few weeks to say that.
They're degenerates.
I agree.
Let's go to line one. Talk to Roger. Hey, Roger.
Is it odd if I digress back
No.
to the insurance for the look? If your front yard is the Gulf of Mexico, are you gonna be surprised if it blows away?
No.
You can't really be, no. Because if you just look back in history, it's a deadly thing that seems to happen.
So they all run up there screaming, FEMA, FEMA, FEMA. I've been there. Katrina put 5 foot of water in our house. We have a third generation property close to where your dad lives there, Joey, on the bay. But, your first responder is yourself.
Yes.
It's called having things you need, chainsaw, gas, everything that you need to eat. I'll tell you what you miss most. Of 18 days of no electricity and triple-digit heat after Katrina is ice.
Yep.
So
it becomes a
it should
premium.
be paramount on the state government, county government, and state government to open the roads, get the debris, where the power company can come put the power back to get your water. Then you got it made. But then you get to the insurance. We had the FEMA check rolled up in our yard about 10 days after Katrina, checkbook in hand, and I told her to get her butt back in that government supplied car and get the hell off my property because I didn't need anything they had because everything the government gives, it's going to come with strings attached. Does it not?
That's true.
It does.
So it is paramount on Eddie to have flood insurance if his front yard is that cesspool they call Lake Jordan?
Lake Jordan, the nice water that feeds most of Montgomery into their water right out of the tap. But yes.
Yes, it's a septic tank, but we won't get into that.
Find me a body of water that's not actually a septic tank.
They're few and far between. The upper reaches of the Fish River and Magnolia are pretty pristine, but other than that, not much.
Right.
But no, I have pushed 3 inches of mud out the door and loaded everything in the house, try to get it to the streets. You wouldn't understand unless you've been there, the debris.
That's everything.
They had a field that was probably 400 acres that all these subcontractors would dump the debris. They had a big grinder, and they ground it, and I guess they sold it as mulch for gardens, but you won't today. Everybody, if you can afford it, you need $1,000-$1,500 cash somewhere. Yeah, power goes down, ATM cards ain't going to get you much. All right, enough food. I mean, I've got 150 gallons of gas. It's a simple gas tank. Go to Tractor Supply and buy you a gas tank and put $25 a week in it. Eventually, you will fill it up. It's called having chain bar loop because if the wind blows, you're going to need a chainsaw.
Yeah.
It's not. It's up to you. Yeah. FEMA is not geared to make you whole again. Now get to the flood insurance. Flood insurance is a federal program, and if you have a mortgage on your house, they won't finance you if you don't have flood insurance.
That's true.
So get ready to pay about $10,000 to $15,000 a year, depending on your property, just for flood insurance. That's not homeowners. So when the flood insurance people, and at that time Alpha, which they won't write insurance in Baldwin County anymore, they get together and tell you if it's rising water or falling water. Therefore, you don't get paid hardly anything. So guess what? From Katrina to today is what, 12, 14 years?
Yeah.
You put that $10,000 a year in a bank account and you self-insure, but if you have a mortgage, you cannot.
Correct.
Right.
So you need to, these guys that
Broke up, Roger.
Nope. Hey, Roger?
Man, that was a good call,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, we lost him.
Great
but
call,
it's the truth. You got to be prepared, and I think a lot of people that live out in the rural, they're certainly more prepared than, say, people that live in the city. You get used to city services and things like that. Get spoiled.
Well, and that is a good lesson for so many things. Take responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're a property owner and you're living right there.
But that was a big thing we
You
should
need to
learn.
understand what you're doing.
We should have learned doing Katrina. I mean, we all sat on TV and watched those people that sat there and waited.
Right.
If we didn't learn right then and there that the government ain't coming to save you, then you ain't going to learn.
Well, and the problem is there's so much moral hazard built into the system.
Yeah.
Because there's so many essentially bailouts. And, and the worst ones are for very wealthy individuals or organizations that, come on. So, but because they know they're going to get bailed out, they engage in behavior that they would not engage in if they knew they had nothing to save them.
How much beachfront property would have houses on it if everybody had to self-insure?
Right. Good point.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. As a realtor,
my
I don't think
uncle
that's
was
a bad thing.
telling me, he didn't remember the name, but it was a book he was reading about all the oil tycoons.
Mm-hmm.
And he was wondering, like, he went, I think this was in Houston, and it was like this beautiful golf club, like ornate Italian marble, all this stuff. Like, what is this golf club?
Mm-hmm.
And he's reading the book, he realizes this oil tycoon, it was his house. To where he had, and this is like coming up in the 60s, he had like the retractable, like 10-foot, 15-foot storm guards, and like and because it was a building war between all these guys who had the nicest, the coolest stuff. Like I got the bigger,
Oh, sure.
And so the tech's out there. It just costs an arm and a leg. Like just 5-foot barriers cost you a heck of a lot of money, and the way you got to secure it. I mean, it's an investment.
It is. But again, we talk about it. If I buy a place at the beach, I love it. But I also kind of know I'm going to pay premium for stuff. But I know every 5-10 years, insurance, I'm going to get a new place.
Yeah.
And if that wasn't so easy, I think it'd be a different world.
Now, shifting gears, again, this is Trump on his media tour. I was surprised.
You were surprised he was on here?
On this show, yes. And I was surprised at how good this is. It's kind of at the beginning of the interview. Again, this is the Flagrant podcast. Andrew Schultz and team. Let's listen into this kind of beginning opening salvo.
Elon interviewed me on something.
Yeah.
And I think they said 275 million hits or listeners.
That's a lot of people.
That was a
That's
record.
a nation. Yeah.
But it's a whole new, different way of
Can I ask you a question
getting the word out, right?
about Elon specifically? Is he your favorite African American?
He's a piece of work. I'll tell you. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's obviously a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
When I saw the rocket engines come back, I said, what is that? Like a couple of years ago, I've seen rockets go up and then they crash into the water.
Yeah.
And I see the engines are coming back and they're landing.
It's unbelievable.
They're landing and they land on a raft in the middle of the ocean someplace with a little dot and they land right on the top of the spot.
And my wife can't parallel park.
I know. Most people can't. But no, he's great. But he's got a great heart. He was with me, as you know, on the other night.
Yeah.
And we were honoring a man who got killed at a rally, Corey, firefighter, great guy. And it was a beautiful evening. But Elon went out and he loved the crowd. He loves the country.
Yeah.
And he's picked a side. A lot of people don't want to pick a side. I have a lot of people that are big supporters of me.
Yeah.
But they won't go all out. They can't.
They're scared.
Quite,
There's a
they're
cost.
Scared. Yeah. There's a cost.
Yeah.
there is a cost, but there's also a liability. I mean, some people, I respect it a lot when this guy was up there doing jumping jacks. You got to vote for Trump. You got to vote for Trump.
He was jumping high.
He was jumping high.
He looked quite African.
When he jumped, he's in good shape. I'm looking at his waist. I'm saying, wait a minute, does he work out or something? But he's...
See, I don't think he looked at his waist and said, I think he works out. I saw the belly from him.
But you can tell this is a New York-based podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And this is Trump in his element. It's sort of that
100%.
The New York cadence going back and forth with this interview. So at one point, he's then asked, like, Akash keeps asking him about who do you think was behind the assassination attempt? And Trump starts talking around the question, and they sort of call him out on it in a funny way, like everybody's laughing.
Yeah.
And then Trump goes into this explanation.
I was saying before, though, that, I do a thing called the weave. Yeah. And there are those that are fair that say, this guy is so genius. And then others would say, oh, he rambled. I don't ramble. If I start a story, what you do is you weave things and you do it. You have to have certain things. You need an extraordinary memory because you have to come back to where you started.
Yes.
A weave is only good if you come back.
They don't give you credit for that. Yeah, it's true. You could go all the way over here and then get back.
I can go so far here or there. And I can come back to exactly where I started. Now, someday when you don't come back to where you started,
you're Biden.
Then you say, no, but the weave is the way. When you're telling like a story, I was telling a story at a rally the other day in front of thousands of people, and I started off, and then
you were weaving
something in the story. I actually mentioned Air Force One. It was Air Force One was there, so I mentioned Air Force One, and then I said how I got $1.6 billion off the price of Air Force One. So, but then you have to come back to the story. Where was Air Force One taking you? So anyway, I do a weave. I call it the weave. And some people think it's so genius, but the bad people, what they say is, he was rambling. It's not a ramble. There's no rambling.
This is a weave.
This is a weave. I call it the weave. Good name. I'm not sure. That's another name. We had fake news. We came up with lots of names. But the weave is, I think we should make the weave a part of that stable.
Yeah, you really weaved away answering my question twice. Brilliant. So I don't even want to know the answer anymore.
I lost interest. We'll weave back. Let's weave back to his question. This is where it started.
See what I mean by the sort of just how they're talking to one another.
To me, he gets it. He gets how people communicate. He's relaxed enough that he'll let his hair down a little bit.
And then he just goes into territory that's he's very funny. Actually, Schultz brings that up with him that there are folks who don't like you. It would mean, he's funny.
Yeah,
and that's brought up. And listen to what Trump goes into
over the last week. I have what we talk about funny or sad. I think it's more sad than funny.
Yeah.
He has one ability I don't have.
Yeah.
He sleeps.
Biden.
He can sleep. This guy goes on a beach and he lays down on one of those, 6 ounce. They weigh 6 ounces and you can't lift it. Yeah. They're meant for children.
Yeah.
Young people and old people to lift.
Yeah.
They're aluminum, hollowed aluminum.
Yeah.
They weigh very little. And he can't lift. And somebody convinced him he looks good in a bathing suit. And when you're 82, typically bathing suits aren't going to make you look great. You're not going to be enhanced. Yeah. All right? It's just one of those things. I can't be sure about that, but typically you don't.
Depends what he's packing. He could.
I don't know what the hell he's packing, but I don't want to. And I don't want to know either. I don't know. But he has an ability to fall asleep while on camera. He can lie down on one of those things, and in minutes, he's stone cold out.
How does he do it?
And he's got cameras because he's the president, so they have cameras on him.
Yeah.
And then they show him sleeping on the beach.
Yeah.
You'll never see me sleeping in front of camera.
How do we...
No, it's gold.
Yeah.
And I imagine I could probably go to Andrew Schultz, see how many
over the last week
views this has
at this point. When did it come out?
This morning. Came out this morning.
I'll say minimum of 100,000, probably.
No, on Twitter, it's got 1.5 million.
Okay.
Just on Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
they'll be dropping quotes from it soon.
Just to be fair, let's now go to Kamala Harris on Howard Stern. We can go back to the funny. We can go back to the Schultz.
It's just disappointing, Howard.
Yeah, because he was he was the king of all media.
He was, Joey, the king of all media.
And he is nothing like that anymore. And it's not like, oh, he's not dirty anymore. It's more, he's not the same person by any means.
Yep.
So here
Although he is well vaccinated. He is very well vaccinated.
That's part of it. Here's Kamala Harris on Howard Stern.
I think that, Howard, people ask me, like, what do you think is going on and what is the tension here? What's at stake? And there are many things, and I can be much more articulate than what I'm going to say. But ultimately, I do believe that this is an election that is about strength versus weakness.
Yeah.
And weakness as projected by someone who puts himself in front of the American people and does not have the strength to stand in defense of their needs, their dreams, their desires, the work that must happen to make sure that we are a secure nation, that we are nurturing and protecting our alliances around the world, that we are supporting America's military, that we are fighting to bring the cost of living down for working families, that we are building businesses, building growth.
Seriously, that's your attack on Trump, that he's weak?
Yes, a man that's, what was less than a couple of months ago, shot, actually got up. How can you even begin to say that? It's just an insult, and it shows their stupidity.
That's weak. Weight room. Absolutely. Weight room.
Whatever.
272-9228 if you want to get on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. Yeah, at one point they asked Trump about the assassination on the Schultz podcast on Flagrant, and he says something to the effect of, it didn't scare me, and it wasn't like it was this traumatic, surreal thing. The best way I can put it is what it is. And the biggest feeling I had was, I'm embarrassed. I want to finish my speech. I went down in front of all these people.
Yeah.
Oh, weak. Give me a break. So let's get a little more. Can we do a little more of the Flagrant podcast? Can we do a little more?
I'm down with it.
Is that allowed?
I'll probably go back and watch it today too.
Yeah, so this is Trump talking about the assassination. And him saying, I'm going to give you all a little bit of breaking news.
But here we are.
Who do you think tried to take you out?
So I'm going to give you some big breaking news, right?
Love that.
Here's the breaking. So you have this shooter, and you have another shooter, right? Yeah. So this shooter had 3 or so cell phones. The FBI's never gotten them opened.
Wow.
The other shooter, 3 apps, they call them. And I believe they were foreign-based apps, from what I understand.
Oh, wow.
They haven't opened them, and they're foreign-based. And, you hear all about Iran, because I was rough with Iran, but I want to see Iran do great. I want to see Iran do great.
Yeah.
But I want to stop all the killing and all this. And I was rough on Iran, and they supposedly have a hit on me. In fact, I think it takes great courage for you people to be interviewing me, because it could be now,
Yeah. Well, we didn't know that before we got in here.
No, you would have known that. You might not have done this.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, this is a good way of me getting the interview to be short. Exactly. All of a sudden, he's going to say, okay, that's it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Go see my daughter.
Anyway, they have 3 apps, and foreign-based, 2 of them, maybe 3 of them are foreign-based. They haven't opened them yet. Why wouldn't you open them when you hear about Iran or when you hear about, foreign? Then the other one had 6 cell phones, and they haven't opened. Now, it's very hard to open a cell phone. Only Apple can do it in theory. So I sort of hate answering it
because he kept going around it, but because Akash kept asking him, who do you think's behind it? So I hate answering it.
Yeah. I don't want to give any false identities. I don't want to do anything having to do with creating something that isn't there. Mm-hmm. You would look at Iran. Iran has an open threat out for me, and that's bad. And Biden, if he were a real president, if he were the kind of guy he should be, should say, if anybody shoots a former president who's now the leading candidate, even though he's leading against Democrats, we will bomb that country into oblivion, and it would stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been said before with some people. You know, there have been people, I won't go into it, but there have been people that have been threatened in another party even. In the same party, it makes sense and probably happens pretty quickly. But in another party, you know, it's hard for them to
cross the line.
To want to protect me.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be hard. Other people have protected other people. And what you have to inform those people is if they do it, the country will be blown to smithereens. The entire country will be blown to smithereens. And those threats go away because that's a really bad threat for a country. Forget about me. I'm an individual. But I represent something very important. It's true. That's a really terrible threat.
So it's not just the laughs on that.
Right.
It's, I think, Trump being himself unfiltered in a lot of ways. Again, 334-272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. But I can't leave you on a down note. Let's go to a little bit more funny.
All right.
This is Schultz talking about him being an influencer, something to that effect.
Number one influence?
I think it's
So who
Rogan.
else?
I think it's Rogan, you, and Kim Kardashian. Like Kim Kardashian influences the shape of women's bodies and faces. Like you see so many, they're literal shape of human beings.
Do they want to look like her?
They want to look like her. So once we start seeing dudes want to look like you, and I see young Jack over there. I think he's trying to do it.
Yeah.
Jack.
Your TikTok guy.
TikTok Jack.
TikTok
TikTok.
Jack.
So tell me, you know, this is a little new world. I call him, his name is Jack. I call him TikTok Jack. I'm good with names, you know.
You are.
You're very good.
You are.
And then Pocahontas.
Yeah.
We have names.
What about, and there was, Tampon Tim was good. What about,
The
is that?
problem with Tampon Tim, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
In other words,
It's a mouthful.
it's a lot. Tampon. And you can't stutter it through when you call it. It's really a lousy word to say.
Yeah.
But it's quite accurate, right? There are some, like Comrade Kamala. It's a little hard to say. She's comrade because she's obviously a communist.
Yeah.
She's horrible. So I call her Comrade.
Yeah.
And it's not bad. But when you put the names together, it's a little, you got to be able to pume. You got to be able to put it out there. But we have a lot of good ones. A lot of them I can't go into with you because some of my best ones, some of my best ones are from the Republican primaries.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all friends of mine now. I don't want
Oh, wow. So the media tours continue. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. This part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health, and they're at Montgomery Men's Health. Well, they're ready to help you men out. Could be, you're getting up there in age.
Yep.
Like you're hitting into your 40s, your 50s, your 60s even. And you're noticing a loss of that edge, that motivation, that drive, including a decrease in your sex drive. That's no fun.
Happens, Joey.
You just feel like you're walking through your life in a fog, like getting fatter, losing muscle mass, and you're like, I didn't change my habits.
Yeah.
What's happening to me? Well, knowing whether or not you have low testosterone is huge in combating some of those issues. And the providers there at Montgomery Men's Health will conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. So you can understand what's the underlying issue here. And they have low-T treatments at Montgomery Men's Health that can truly change lives. Men can experience higher energy, better gains in the gym, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism. You usually even notice an increased libido. And you can actually book the same day that you call. That number, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage.
And I'm Madeline Cannon. It's true, rates aren't as low as they have been for the past couple of years, but there are still many homeowners that could benefit from refinancing their current mortgage. There are a lot of things in life that are out of our control, but your mortgage rate is not one of them. If you currently have an adjustable rate mortgage mortgage, then you owe it to yourself to give us a call.
Adjustable rate mortgages make sense for some people in stable markets, but in this wild, ever-changing rate environment, it only makes sense to secure a fixed interest rate. A fixed interest rate will give you the peace of mind that your rate is locked. Your rate will not be subject to change with the political and economic tides.
At Alabama Home Mortgage, you can personalize your term. We offer 8-year to 30-year mortgages and everything in between. Grab your mortgage statement and give us a call.
Call Alabama Home Mortgage, the #1 mortgage lender in Alabama, today at 567-4223, or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. That's Alabama Home Mortgage, because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
Whitworth Farm Equipment has a qualified and certified mechanic. Gary Baker can do it all. Along with Josh and Gillian, Chera now has the full-service farm center you've been looking for. Your tractor should work as hard as you do and keep working. They're open Tuesday through Friday from 7 till 5 and Mondays by appointment. Whitworth Farm Equipment for all tractor parts, service implements, and trailers. Plus, they now sell pine straw rolls. 285-9977 or visit them at 7458 Deatsville Highway.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is #1 in the #2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Enjoy an evening of wine on the water at the 14th Annual Riverwalk Wine Festival, Friday, October 11th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Union Station Train Shed. This event includes a variety of wine tastings, food vendors, and live music by DJ Wright and the Wesley Hill Band. Must be 21 or over to purchase a ticket. Tickets available online at mgmcityevents.com or montgomeryal.gov. Proceeds go to the Family Sunshine Center. Don't miss the fun. Brought to you by the City of Montgomery Department of Cultural Affairs.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is #1 in the #2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Hi, folks. This is Rick Clark with Clark Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. I'd like to take just a minute to talk to you about our experience with Blue Water Broadcasting. One of the hot topics in our staff meetings is spending advertising dollars. If your company or firm is anything like Clark Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing, those dollars are limited, so you have to spend them wisely. That's why we choose Blue Water Broadcasting. Our marketing analysis has proven consistently that spending advertising dollars with Blue Water Broadcasting has contributed significantly to our bottom line. And for that, Clark Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing is truly grateful. So, if you want to spend your advertising dollars wisely, choose Blue Water Broadcasting and see the difference.
Radio works. It's as simple as that. Call us to find out how radio can work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Riverside Chevrolet Wetumpka. If it's Chevy, it's Riverside. Best price, best selection. Check them out on the web at riversideusa.net.
Well, hi, everybody. As Dangerous Milton roars to the Florida coast, our forecast continues to be very nice. Clear, cooler tonight. Low temperature in the upper 50s. We'll be in the low 80s Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Abundant sunshine, very low humidity, nice breeze. Progressively cooler at night with mid-50s on Thursday night and low 50s on Friday and Saturday night. That's kind of like jacket weather, I would think. And then another great day Sunday with perfect weather for the fair, high in the mid-80s with sunshine. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Whether you're buying a home or auto or consolidating debt, CB&S Bank's personal loans get you where you need to go. Go to cbsbank.com to find a location near you or apply online today. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Daniel. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Just a couple of real quick things. So, I only caught part of the conversation with the councilman earlier, and I guess the particulars don't bother me, just whatever. But the growth of government has just become so, I don't know, everyday, normal. You know, he talked about the growth of government like it didn't mean anything. Like, you know, new fire department, raises to the employees, government officials, yada, yada, yada. Hey, I would love to get myself a pay raise. Any way that maybe we can take half of that 5% and give it back to me. That would be freaking awesome. Second thing I've got is I worry a lot about the state of the country and maybe the emotional state or whatever the case may be. I cannot believe that 50% of our country will vote for Kamala Harris. I don't understand the reasoning behind it, and all that stuff is very, very concerning to me. So that's all I've got for you guys. Have yourself a good day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Daniel. Good call.
Yeah, I agree with the fact. I don't understand why people honestly are voting for Kamala. I know they're coming up with reasons, and I mean, everybody has their own reason. That's their own business, I guess. But I can't honestly say with a straight face how they could have these kind of reasonings. Most of them, though, it's just flat out I hate Trump.
Well, the wedge ones are, I know people in my life, is the whole January 6th thing, really, they've bought that hook, line, and sinker.
There are a couple, but even Carville come out today and said they need to quit. Democrats need to quit talking about that.
Yeah, but I've noticed even in my own life that's
that's a big thing, really.
Some people, yes.
Something.
And then the abortion issue.
Abortion.
There are a lot of women in particular that are very much, that is a deal breaker.
I get it, but here's the part I don't get. He did not outlaw abortion. He simply, correct me if I'm wrong,
he allowed your
the states to make the decision. Well, I'm a states' right kind of guy.
Oh,
so
you don't.
That kind of went right into my ballpark here.
Well, then it goes to Daniel's call. I wish more stuff was local.
Yes.
So, yes, there are times where you're like, I don't want government to grow, but then you're like, well, we want robust fire coverage.
Sure.
Like, we want good policing.
Sure.
Like, so those things cost money. I actually like that without doing an occupational tax, without raising taxes, they were able to figure some of these things out. My point is, I wish more of government and politics was that, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more we throw it up to, say, the larger things, the more removed people become from it. And so you might not like that Alabama probably has the strictest abortion law in the nation. Completely.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to live here.
That's
or
one.
you can advocate otherwise to change the law. But that creates freedom doesn't just breathe with and Republicans, Democrats have this on this issue, on the issue of abortion, have this mentality of everything has to be a national issue.
Agreed.
And I think it would be a much freer grouping of states if different states could be, again, the laboratories of democracy.
But there are different laws in different states, period.
Right.
That's, again,
right.
I'm a states' rights guy. I don't see the issue. If anything, now you have a better opportunity to get what you want because it's a smaller system you're fighting.
But then it goes back into what I mentioned to Jeff Poor earlier, that tweet by Chris Williamson. And this is Gallup polling, folks, not just Williamson pulling out of his backside. He tweeted, you can know someone's political ideology by their trust in mass media. 73% of Democrats trust mass media, up 60% from 20 years ago, which was around the Bush time, right? 2004?
Yeah.
Invasion of Iraq.
But that's funny because how many of those same Democrats loved and worshiped Twitter until it changed hands?
Right.
Until it changed its narrative.
And now 10% of Republicans trust mass media. That's down 40% from 20 years ago.
That's less than I thought, but I know you're going to have a few hanger-oners.
But I think the telling one is Only 36% of independents trust mass media, down 55%.
That's why they're
so
independents.
These are independents, though, that's 90-something percent trusted media, and they trust media to be like, yeah, I can get informed opinions from all these different places. But that used to be completely controlled by corporate media, cable news.
Yeah.
The one outside outlet was somebody like a Rush Limbaugh and Alex Jones. But like, there wasn't this alternative out there. And I find it fascinating now that you can look at what media somebody consumes, and you can pretty easily tell their politics. There are a few, you know Ari Shaffir, the comedian. Yeah. I love people like Ari and I'm not talking about everything he's done. He's done some pretty crazy stuff. Man, you crossed the line there. I'm not even talking about the Kobe tweet.
No, neither am I.
Because that was epic trolling.
Yeah.
It's more, Ari's one of these people that literally is apathetic.
Yep.
And does everybody need to be that way? Of course not.
No.
But there is a use for those people that, what, you haven't watched the news? No, I've been in Australia without a phone, backpacking around the country for 3 months to, keep my sanity.
Yep.
So those sorts of people that aren't plugged into the machine give you some of the best perspective. It doesn't mean you're going to agree with them.
No.
It just shows somebody who's like, oh, wait,
they have
you are unaffected. You are like still pure in a certain way.
They have a truly unique perspective, totally outside perspective.
And I think in many ways we've lost that. Though here's what I believe is going to happen. I think the alternative media is going to continue to grow and grow and grow.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's Joe Rogan, Patrick Bet-David, the Flagrant podcast, Call Her Daddy, whatever podcast show you're talking about, especially these shows that are live streaming and starting to do more breaking news and conversation. I think that's going to continue to grow.
Sure.
And what you actually find in that space, and I think the space Elon's trying to build on Twitter, is it actually is pretty damn diverse. It doesn't represent, say, it's not, think about Christian conservatives in Alabama.
Okay.
They have a space on Twitter.
Yeah.
But they don't dominate Twitter.
No, by no means.
And what you find with this new movement, with people like RFK Jr. coming in, and a lot of voters coming with Bobby Kennedy, people like Tulsi Gabbard coming in, people like Elon coming in, a lot of the Silicon Valley people coming in, is you have a party, and what are these folks saying, that actually likes dissent. And it's beyond party politics.
Right.
It is a culture that embraces dissent. And it's messy, it's rough and tumble. There's a lot of ugly crap out there on, for instance, Twitter. But that's the world.
Yeah.
And the folks that have run this nation and run the West for decades got used to a world. Hillary Clinton let the truth out the other day. Oh, we'll now lose total control.
Yep.
Yes, when they had a few newspapers and they had the networks, they had total control. I'm not saying there weren't good journalists back then. There clearly were. People took their jobs very seriously. But when there's only that few outlets, you can really control the information flows. Now that everybody has a platform, yes, there's going to be ugliness, but it's better to embrace the dissent, embrace the difference. It's the same idea around more and more stuff should be decided by the states. In fact, did you hear me ripping the mayor's face off when he did this whole gun ordinance thing or the city council? I like it when cities fight the state.
Joey likes it. I was the one that had the issue. Joey likes it.
Doesn't mean I agree.
No.
But in principle, I think when you have different points of power that are challenging and able to be different than one another, that actually creates a freer society. And we need more of that. And I think what's going to happen is corporate media will continue to decline, and you'll see a new media that will regain people's trust because it won't be one size fits all.
Right.
Now, who knows when you throw in the dynamic of artificial intelligence and all these other things.
That kind of worries me a little bit, but
again, I think the best solution there is ones that essentially compete and correct one
Keep
another.
looking.
Yeah.
Keep looking.
So we'll see. It's a brave new world in good ways and very bad ways. Let's go to line one before the break. You're on there. Who's this?
Hi, it's Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
Hey, I was reading, well, actually, I even watched some clips of the interview with Tim Waltz and Fox Shannon Bream, I guess is how you pronounce it. Did you watch that?
Not really. I saw that it happened, but I didn't really have much interest.
It was interesting. She actually did a good job. I was impressed. They were talking about the abortion issue, and that's why I called, because you were just talking about it. And she was talking about his state where, he has the most liberal abortion laws, and basically there's no regulation, no stopping what they can do when it comes to abortions. And he sat there and he said, well, it basically what Roe versus Wade wanted. And she said, no, they had timelines and such, when you could abort and et cetera. You have no regulations. So, she corrected him on that and a few other things that he was trying to spill, misinformation. And about the one where Kamala was talking when, she did her little speech or debate with Trump, the woman that died trying to go from Georgia to North Carolina and all that. Well, the woman actually corrected that and said the woman took one of those overnight counter abortion type things, and it didn't go so well, and there was stuff remaining in her, and she went to the hospital, and they did not treat her in Georgia. So the family is actually suing the hospital for negligence. So it was nothing to do with the abortion itself, other than she took it upon herself to do her own abortion at home without medical care, which I think is insane. I don't understand these overnight pill deals, but that's what we think is fine, and I'm surprised there's not more people dying because of it, to be honest with you. And if they want to address something, they should address that. That's negligence, in my opinion, on the medical society, giving a medicine that can kill you and making it over the counter. That's insane. But that's another story. But if you get a chance, you can kind of look at it. She hit immigration, a few other topics, and I think she did a good job in correcting a lot of the misinformation they've been doing.
Well, I appreciate the recommendation. Thank you, Debbie.
You have a good day.
You too. Thanks, Debbie.
See, this is on line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
This is Charles the First.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Joey. Hey, Eddie. Y'all doing okay?
Doing good. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. I was calling because along the nature of what you're talking about, Joey, is Chief Justice Parker's dissent as far as protecting the state constitution. I don't know if you're familiar. It was an article in 1819 News.
No, refresh my memory.
Okay, so this is what happened. The hospital got off the hook for a death, Jackson something, another hospital. And so it went to the Supreme Court because the legislature is supposed to be the one that says that can happen, not the governor. But she made an executive decision, and I guess the family was saying that was improper and they should still be able to sue the hospital. And all but 2 of the justices, and one of them being Chief Justice Parker that wrote the dissenting view, he said, if we allow this decision that they've made to stand, it will chip away eventually at our ability for the state constitution to be what, controls us. It will let that be precedent to do something else. Like, for instance, when they changed the wording this last time, it made it where prisoners don't have to work anymore. That actually made it where the new structuring of the word took away the ability of the prison system, except the governor kind of overrode it, but I don't even know that she could do that. But that's what I was getting at. That's a very good example of dissension for a quality purpose.
Oh, yeah. And I think Alabama's Constitution as a whole, honestly, something I probably need to study more, but it seems like it does too much. I kind of like my Constitution's very slim, very to the point, some pretty hardcore first principles and structural, here's who has what power, right, and then stick to that, and then let the free play of the dissent and from the executive, from the legislative to the judicial go back and forth. I think that is the secret sauce that in some way, especially nationally, we've gotten away from. And I'll have to read that because Justice Parker, smart man, and one I very much respect.
Oh, and I was going to say, This should have been taken care of. If you want to change what's on the Constitution, you do it by a vote of the people.
Right.
And I like the idea of the vote of the people, because I think sometimes the essence of the intent of what the early framers of the Constitution had in mind are the correct thing. And if you let someone that shouldn't be changing words, or a judicial that doesn't need to change state constitution change it, then you open yourself to big, huge problems.
Yes, you do.
But
Well, I
thanks for
appreciate it.
Having me on, guys.
Thank you, Charles. 272-922. A very quick break here. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
No one wants to wait on service for an overhead door. With 20 years in the industry, you now have access to the best with All Access Overhead Door. All Access Overhead Doors offers prompt, professional service at affordable prices on all service and new garage doors for residential and commercial locations. All Access Overhead Door serves the river region and can take care of whatever you need when it comes to your overhead door. Remember, you have access to the best. All Access Overhead Door. Call and schedule an appointment today. 320-2440. And like them on Facebook. They sell the best and service the rest.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
Good, good. I just dropped Angie off the driveway. She's a little turd at me because I got pulled over.
Oh, no.
And I never get pulled over by myself. It's always when she's in the car. I tell her that she's a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
They're staring at her pretty legs instead of looking how fast I'm going.
That's what I was thinking.
She didn't like that excuse either.
No. Well, you tried. That's a good one, Ray.
Man, that sounds like a great ZZ
No,
Top
that's a good
song.
one.
Fast
I thought
cars
it was
and pretty legs.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So I was going from one job site to the other and actually had my mind on jobs instead of driving, which I shouldn't do, but he was a very nice state trooper.
Well, that's good. That's good because your
Yeah,
money will
thanks.
stay here in the state of Alabama, Ray. We appreciate that, brother.
Yes, absolutely. But I have my rose-colored glasses on when it comes to any kind of law enforcement because Ron was in it for 25 years.
Right.
And he's still in it in Alaska. So I got to say I definitely have my rose-colored glasses on when it comes to police officers. And the stories I have that I used to get out of a ticket because me and him were twins, I'd always lie and just say I was Ron. They wouldn't even ask to look. But I don't know any of these guys on the force anymore.
Yeah.
So now I gotta pay attention and no running red lights or stop signs for Ray Bowles anymore. Life is rough.
Yeah, life is rough.
Hey,
man.
we're supposed to be selling carpet, aren't we?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We still have that sell on. Half off carpet, half off vinyl plank in stock. Come in, register for the countertop. And honestly, guys, we will make life as easy as possible for you from the time we come in till the time we leave. We're going to move your furniture, take up all the old floors, haul them off, and next thing you know, you got a floor down. Just that simple.
That number 285-8117. When you call 285-8117, be sure to tell them you heard Ray Bowles on the radio. And again, if you want to get in for that drawing for the brand new countertop,
right,
2201 Cobbs Ford Road. Stop by today.
Guys, have a great day.
You too, Ray. See you, brother.
Man, it's always a little like humbling to be pulled over. Even if it's not a big deal, it's just a ticket.
No, it sucks.
It's like, man.
You feel like the man's got his thumb on you.
Yeah.
And he does. And ain't nothing you can do. Don't be a jerk. Just
Yeah,
take it
right,
like a man.
right.
Happens.
Yeah, it's just like what it is. What it is.
It is. I learned that a long time ago.
Anyway, do we learn anything else
Today?
Trump was funny.
It was
Yeah,
just
but we
terrible.
knew that a while.
Well, I did learn that there's only 1,115 employees for FEMA ready to help out in Florida. That's kind of disturbing.
And on that sad note, as we look at the radar,
yeah, it's
starting to hit land. Greg Vidal, happy hour. He's next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.